a little bit while everybody gets around and relax. And not worry about stuff, you know what I'm saying? Play it. Let me know when you're getting in there. Hey, Andrea, first one in. Look at that. Congratulations. High five. On Periscope. Good to see you. Hello, Twitterverse. Good to see you. We are, we're just relaxing because the president is in the Rose Garden. Right now, we're going to go to him in a second. Don't worry, I know you're in a big hurry. But we're going to break down. He's going to come out and basically defend testing now. And yes, I believe I am on YouTube right now. I should be.
Just follow the money.
Now I am going through Restream, so anything is possible. You know.
Man's got to know his limitations.
So hold your, cross your fingers. Hopefully everything will kind of, tech-wise, we're doing all right. I stripped everything out. I literally took, I did to my streaming rig what Matt Damon did to that capsule in The Martian when he's leaving the planet. Like, I just took everything out. So fingers crossed we make it through today without too much trouble. But can't not have Moon River. So I did get Templeton. I have the camera. I don't have the dummy battery yet. That comes tomorrow, according to the tracking. So keep your fingers crossed. That's the one last kind of upgrade that we need, and then and then my whole system will explode. Then my desk will probably catch fire. That's probably what's gonna happen. Like, no, I don't want to be. Yeah. Could be worse. Could be stabbed. Let's see, I'm up in the Discord, kinda, in the Pros Text channel. And that's not flattening the earth right now, which is good. Yes, Trump is going to be on in just a moment. We'll get to that. I just wanted to let everybody get a chance to gather round. Because, so the president here, I'll show you what the screen says. It's, President Trump and administration officials deliver remarks and hold a press conference on testing. And there is no way in the question and answer part of this that he doesn't go off on Obama and Obamagate, and they were such scumbags in the Rose Garden. Like, this dude is the cheapest human being that ever existed. And I'm calling it right now. It's going to go there. It just will. But they're going to be basically, this is another one of those infomercials. Hopefully he won't hold the Abbott machine upside down this time. If he does, I'm just going to go with it was on purpose. That he's just trolling. I'm kidding. He probably doesn't know which way is up most of the time. So let's, as everybody's gathering around, and hide everybody. Well, Templeton's are at. There's a whole table full of stuff. He's going to be pointing at all the gear and recognizing that like 20% of the stock in testing is probably sitting on that table. Oh, thank you, Lisa Mia Moore. Appreciate that. Thank you for the sticker and the super chat right away. Bless you. This is going to be this requires the most virulent antivirus software Russia makes. Yes, right. Oh my God. Like the fact that these are probably, we figured out a way to hook them up to the internet via a Reddit thread from QAnon so they can all be sabotaged. This is just glorious. Now, as we roll into this, I think we're missing the, ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States, and Carrot Top, as he comes out with all his props. No offense to Carrot Top, we love Carrot Top. Oh, there's a super chat. That's a super chat now. That's a super chat. What happened, super chat? How did I turn that down? All right, I tried it. I thought it turned it down a little bit, but apparently not. That's okay. We're dancing. We're all right. It's necessary in this craziness. Okay, here we go. Gather round, children. Let everybody know we're here today. This is the... Wait, how much time does it before he kicks in? Before he gets in there? Are we going here? We're going here? We're going here? This is counting down. Where is he? Where is it? There he is.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Look at this stuff. Look at this. Honestly, he's like, look at all these testing machines. Like, we know that machines exist. We know that every single one of them is crucial. So are these the ones they use in the White House? Because everybody in the White House is getting tested once a day. Is this their supply we're looking at? Because I'm going to go with yeah. That's my theory, and I'm sticking to it. Just ridiculous. So here we go with the. Oh God, I can't even get to it.
We're here today to provide an update on the
Oh no. Go ahead.
unprecedented testing capacity developed by the United States, the most advanced and robust testing system anywhere in the world by
No.
far. This afternoon, I'll also
Define robust. Does it have a woody flavor? Are the stems beautiful? Does it have hints of mint?
announce new steps that we're
It's robust. Ew. Oh, it's robust.
taking to make tests even more widely available.
Yeah, well, you can start by dropping off the ones that you have sitting unused on that desk right there.
To battle the virus, my administration marshaled every resource at our nation's disposal.
Oh,
Public,
good Lord. Oh my gosh. I'm impressed. So that's super loud compared to the Criminy. Woof. That was special. That I enjoyed. Hold on one second. That audio is going to be doubled up. Woo. Transparent background. All right.
private, military, economic, scientific, and industrial, all at your disposal.
We're just going to dispose of them. Is that what we're doing?
We launched the largest
He seems very quiet. I got to fix that part, and it's good because it's going to drive me crazy during this whole thing. All right, you're in Safari, aren't you? I don't know if he's off mic or something because it's turned up in my system really loud. So they're just not pumping the system there unless it's all right for you guys. We'll see. Hold on.
manufacturing ramp up since the Second World War. There's been
Oh my God. Yeah, because this is the biggest single threat to the entire country since the Second World War, you goon. I don't understand why that's a mystery to him. Honestly. We haven't had to do this. That's the point.
nothing like it since. At the center of this industrial and scientific mobilization was the development of our coronavirus testing capabilities. In the span of just a few short months, we've developed a testing capacity unmatched and unrivaled.
No, it's matched and rivaled. There's lots of other. Italy is actually at a higher per capita rate. We're 40th in the world. I don't know why the number 40 keeps coming up so repeatedly. Have you noticed that? Have you noticed the word 40? Like 40 other countries closed travel from China before we did. 40 days and 40 nights.
Anywhere in the world, and it's not even close.
Yeah, it is. You can't count tiny countries and go, we're swamping them.
This is a core element of our plan to safely and gradually reopen America.
Yeah, it was really gradual yesterday. Did you see the gradual Mother's Day?
And we're opening and we're starting, and there's enthusiasm like I haven't seen in a long time.
That's not enthusiasm. That's panic.
Every American should be proud of the amazing array of talent, skill, and enterprise our nation has brought to this challenge.
Yeah, all the people who are sewing masks and giving them to healthcare workers, and all the people who are staying home.
In 3 months, the FDA has authorized more than 92 different tests,
Thank you, Stanley.
and over 9 million have been performed here in the United States. 3 weeks ago, we were conducting roughly 150,000 tests per day.
And then we had to start testing everybody in the White House every single day, and that number went up drastically.
Now we're doing approximately 300,000 tests per day.
100,000 of them. Good Lord. Oh, I see. I know why that's so loud. I have the Streamlabs page open, and it's not going to you guys at all. Oh, good Lord.
a 100% increase, and it will go up substantially from that number.
It should.
This week, the
Look at Jared wearing a mask. Look at that.
United States will
These are all administration people sitting in the front row. Are they all going to go up and speak at the little side COVID podium?
pass 10 million tests
COVIDium?
conducted, nearly double the number of any other country. We're testing more people per capita than South Korea, the United Kingdom, France, Japan, Sweden, Finland, and many other countries, and in some cases combined.
No, yeah, in some cases combined. If we throw Guam together with the Marianas Islands or Namibia.
On Friday, the
How did he mispronounce it? Namibia?
FDA authorized coronavirus antigen test, an alternative testing technology that can be much more readily manufactured. Quidel Corporation, which
Quidel?
makes this newly
Or Quidel. Evoked to keep the meat plants closing so much production go to China, where pig epidemic has driven the prices up. We're risking our lives, but not getting our meats. Yeah, we're not getting the food that's going from the plants that are hit most heavily isn't going to the United States.
authorized point-of-care test estimates that it will be able to manufacture 150,000 tests per day, immediately increasing to 300,000 tests per day within just a few weeks. To further
Yeah, why wouldn't you then wait a few weeks so you can have testing readily available rather than risk a huge uptick in sickness?
expand our nation's
Especially as we're just discovering, like, children get this bizarre offshoot disease.
testing capabilities this afternoon, I am announcing that my administration we've got this all approved, it's all done, is sending $1 billion to America's states, territories, and tribes. So this has all been approved. We've gotten it done.
Sending $1 billion for what? For testing? Oh, so in a 2.2 to 6.4 trillion dollar package for recovery, you're sending a single $1 billion to the states, all 50 of them?
Completed, the money is going out. This major investment will ensure that America continues to conduct more tests
A major investment is $1 billion. $1 billion.
than any country on earth by far.
Not by far, no.
I said from the beginning that the federal government would back up the states and help them build their testing capability and capacities, and that's exactly what's
whichever
happened.
word is there. I'll say both of them. Why not?
This partnership has truly flourished.
They flourished and flourished. Oh boy, he's ahead of himself. He can't wait to get to the part where he gets to yell, Scourge!
Really had a very good relationship with the states and the governors and other representatives
You're the president of the United States. These aren't foreign countries, dipshit.
within the states.
I love it. Like, we're now getting along with the states in a way that as the government of those states, no one ever suspected. Get out of town.
A relationship like I think I can honestly say has not been seen in this country for many, many years.
Yeah, 3.
The governors and us are working together very closely, not only on testing, but on ventilators,
Us are working.
where we have a capacity that's at this point virtually unlimited.
Virtually unlimited testing capacity. You heard it here, folks. Here first, folks. This is virtually unlimited testing capacity. Only limited by its limitations.
We're sending ventilators, as you probably heard from other countries. We're sending many, many thousands of ventilators to other countries because they're in tremendous need.
Good Lord.
And I think building up a lot of goodwill, but much more importantly than that, we're saving a lot of lives.
Are you now? Are you now?
Most states are now doing a great job. My administration
Most states, but there's a couple of untalented states that I'm not a big fan of. I think it's just rudeness.
located 5,000 machines in 700 labs across all 50 states, and governors have learned how to maximize these testing resources. The federal government is
Oh, did you teach them, big boy?
also supporting states with vital supplies, quick approvals of new tests, and one-on-one coaching from the team here at the White House.
Oh, one-on-one coaching. Is that via Zoom? Is that only for premium members? Do they have to, does Jared charge by the hour, or is this all voluntary? Is it sort of a TED Talk meets a Tony Robbins kind of a thing? One-on-one coaching.
How to increase capacity and increase it very quickly. In recent weeks, we've held multiple conference calls with every state as well as with D.C.
Yeah, you're the federal government.
and Puerto Rico. We jointly developed testing
You called D.C. and Puerto Rico, did you? All of a sudden, they're part of the group. All right, nice.
projections and goals for each state for the month of May, altogether totaling 12.9 million tests. Think of that, 12.9 million tests.
Yeah.
Today,
and those are all PCR tests. Those all have to be redone again. Let's say, I don't know, all 12 million of those tests, 12.9, were done in the White House yesterday. They'd have to be done again today. See how that works? I don't like the testing. It shows more illness.
announcing that my administration will provide the collection supplies to help states meet their targets and meet them rapidly. During the
You mean swabs? We're going to not swoop in and steal their swabs? That's the... All right,
month of
thanks,
May,
Jared.
FEMA and HHS will
Where'd you get those swabs? I got them from Jared.
be delivering 12.9 million swabs to states nationwide.
12.9 million swabs. Is that one per test? Don't screw up the test, kids. If you do that, there's like we're out of tests. We're out of swabs. We can't do any more tests. Exactly 12.9. That's a magic number
We
too.
already have them. The delivery will
What are the QAnon people saying about the number 40 and the numbers 129 or 12.9 million?
be very quick. We're prepared to provide millions of additional swabs if any state is on a pace to surpass its goal. And their goals are very high. We've set them very high. We've told them to set them very high. My
No, you haven't. You said some people don't even like testing.
administration will
Some people get tested and then they test great for a while and then they have a terrible test and suddenly who knows how it happens.
also provide approximately
Look at this banner. Wow. Signs.com is working overtime. America leads the world in testing. Stamp. Classy. Hanging a banner in the rose. Look at that.
9 million transport media,
Is this going to be his mission accomplished banner?
which are used to transfer swabs to the lab processing, a complicated process, but we've made it simple.
Yeah.
As a result of these actions, every single state will be able to test more people per capita in May alone than South Korea has tested in 4 months since the outbreak began.
Not per capita. That's not true. And will be capable of doing it is a long way from am or are. Like you're projecting. The reason is because South Korea has had to test fewer and fewer people because they bent their curve already. Is it not, yeah, transmission accomplished. That's
This
hilarious.
major commitment
That we need to, I'm going to grab a screenshot of this right now just for that purpose. You just kind of have to. This is ridiculous. Hold on. That's just glorious. Hold on. I'm going to fix that later.
is possible
I'll post
because
that.
of the massive mobilization of American industry, including Puritan Medical Products, U.S. Cotton, Abbott Labs, and Thermo Fisher. Some of these incredible companies produced rapidly for us, and their products are here with us this afternoon. These are all different
Fantastic. Show us how they work, please. Give us a demonstration, Vanna.
products that were literally just developed.
No, they weren't. Those are the machines they use and the changes they made in how they process it. They basically just program what protein they're looking for into those testing machines. The machines weren't invented this in 2 weeks. And what are those? Are those cups on the side or filters or sample? Those are swabs. These are packets of swabs over here. Hold on, let me move. Those right there. See that right there? Those are packets of swabs. Yes. Get them back in there and sell. Good Lord.
And
You
can imagine that, and these are the best machines and the best equipment anywhere in the world, and other countries are calling us, and we're
Yeah. You mean Nigeria? You mean all the countries that we normally help through the NIH and the World Health Organization, those countries that always need help because they're third world countries? Yeah.
Trying to work as much as we can, not only on ventilators, but also with testing.
I think Oxford is calling him late at night going, "Oi, you got any good ideas for a vaccine or treatment there, Donald?" I told him we already got one.
My administration also continues our tireless effort to expand testing in the most underserved communities. Through our partnership with the private sector, leading pharmacies and retailers are now operating over 240 testing sites across the country, and that's in addition to all of the other sites that we have working. 70%.
No, it isn't. It's part of them. We've got 100 sites, and 10 of those are from another company that has agreed to do those 10, so that's like 110.
Percent of these sites are located in communities with unique vulnerabilities. There will be more than 300 sites by the end of this week, and retailers are making plans to open up hundreds and hundreds more locations within the next 30 days.
Oh, really? You mean like the Walmart parking lot testing sites? Remember those? Was that a month and a half ago?
These additions.
Where were the drive-through Walmart sites? Remember, those guys walked up there, shook hands with him. He was saying these guys, CVS, Rite Aid, all those guys, they were all up there going, we're happy to be opening them up as sites across the country. And then he went, you know what, let the states do it. I don't know, we don't have any stuff.
Sites are helping us ensure access to testing in every community. My administration is fighting relentlessly to protect all citizens of every color and creed from this terrible virus, the invisible enemy.
The invisible enemy. They didn't put it in there, but I added it because you can't see it and it probably doesn't exist. And so go back to work.
In addition to vast amounts of testing supplies, my administration has partnered with the private sector to coordinate the delivery of more than 90 million N95 masks, and these are of the highest quality. Many are made right here in the United States.
Many? Yeah. Many are starting to be made.
We didn't have.
We just gave them a free factory.
At all at the beginning.
Scourge.
126 million surgical masks, likewise, many are made here. 9 million face shields, 21 million surgical gowns, 993 million gloves.
And a partridge in a tree.
And 10,690 ventilators. We're building thousands.
10,690 ventilators. For 6 weeks, it's been 10,000. Now it's 10,690. It's the same. They've added 690 to the stockpile of the ones that they couldn't pass out because the states went and got their own. Is this a huge? 350 million people in this country. In 6 weeks, this guy was able to add 690 ventilators to the stockpile.
Of ventilators in numerous plants all across our country. It's incredible, actually.
Yeah, numerous plants have managed to create 690 ventilators.
This global pandemic has inflicted great pain and hardship on our people. It should have never been allowed to happen. It should have.
Yeah, well, you went golfing all of February.
And stopped at the source.
Stupid China. Boo-ba-da-boo-ba-da. Why am I responsible for stuff that happens on American soil?
We mourn for every life the virus has claimed. And
yeah, we can tell. You blow right by that to the next sentence, will you?
We share the grief of all of you who've lost a loved one, and that goes worldwide, too. Many, many countries.
Like Boris Johnson had some, I almost.
84 countries at least.
That 184 countries, it's not my fault. It's in every country. You can't blame me.
Thanks to the courage of our citizens and our aggressive strategy, hundreds of thousands of lives have been saved.
No, they haven't. You do not credit for doing nothing. And every time he goes, well, I think if we'd have done nothing, 2 million people would have died. Who gives him points for that? Who is it? Who's out there? Who's listening to that statement? If we hadn't done anything, millions of people would have died. And even if it wasn't the highest level of projection, you cut those numbers in half and then cut them in half again. If we hadn't done anything, all these people would die. It's goofy.
And we have saved, and if you look at on a per 100,000 basis, we're at the best part of the pack, right on
What?
the bottom. Germany and us are leading the world. Germany and the United States are leading the world. Lives saved per 100,000. In every generation, through every challenge and hardship and danger.
Whoops. Apparently they were like, is his face really that orange? Is his hair really that kind of pea highlighter yellow? Let's check.
America has risen
Throw up color bars quickly.
to the task. We have met the moment, and we have prevailed.
No, we haven't. We're not done yet. What are you talking about?
Americans do whatever it takes to find solutions, pioneer breakthroughs, and harness the energies we need to achieve a total victory.
And that's what it is. It's going to be a total victory. Total victory. Yeah, we've prevailed. Didn't you know that, John, in the chat room? Yeah, we've prevailed. It's over. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, death rates are still going up, and the infection rates in the red states is climbing regularly. But hey, New York is petering off, and that's where his buildings are mostly. So
Day after day, we're making tremendous strides with the
understand, it's easy to social distance on a golf course. Okay.
dedication of our doctors and nurses. These are incredible people. These are brave people. These are warriors.
Yes, they're incredible people. They're brave people. They're not warriors. They're medical technicians. They're nurses. They're doctors. Their job has value beyond comparing them to somebody whose job also has value, but who kills people for a living.
With the devotion of our manufacturing workers, food suppliers, and lab technicians,
That I'm forcing to go to work, but indemnifying their employers from if they get sick and die, and
with the profound patriotism of the American people, we will defeat this horrible enemy. We will revive our economy, and we will transition into greatness.
oh God, this is his new phrase he came up with in the roundtable room with Republicans.
That's a phrase you're going to hear a lot because
Oh God, because it's stupid, because it's transition into greatness, because TIG is so much better than CAG.
that's what's going to happen. We're going into the third quarter, and we're going to do well. In the fourth quarter, we're going to do very good, and next year, I think we're going to have one of the best years we've ever had because there's a tremendous pent-up demand. It's a demand, and I'm feeling it. I've felt things a lot over my life, and
Ew. Yeah, the knees and vaginas of women who didn't want you to, for example. The buttocks and breasts of 15-year-old beauty contestants. You felt those kind of things over time. The legs, breasts, ribs, faces, and lips of the women who were unfortunate enough to sit next to you in first class on an airplane. You felt a lot of things over the years. Maybe, I don't know, start asking permission or wait until they ask you.
I've made a lot of good calls. It's a demand like I don't think I've ever seen. There's a pent-up demand. There's a spirit in this country like few have seen.
Are we not supposed to come back? Are we? Is it supposed to be a shock to all of us? Are we at some point supposed to just once this thing struck or anything, a terrorist attack, a bioweapon attack, a hurricane, a tornado, is it normal for the American people after, say, a hurricane to just curl up into the fetal position and suck their thumb? But only for the existence of Donald Trump, we are all rebounding from natural disasters now?
And I think you can say, and we've helped a lot of the countries a lot. Really.
Great. Cool. Really, yeah, well said there, Chief.
A lot. There's a tremendous spirit all over the world to beat this terrible, terrible thing. But we're
I almost said scorch. He almost said it. Almost.
transitioning to greatness, and the greatness is going to be in the fourth.
TTG, the TTG, we're transitioning to greatness. He was saying, okay, is it transitioning into greatness or transitioning to greatness? Because TIG is the name of, well.
Quarter, but it's really going to be next year, and it's going to be a year like we've never had before. I really believe that.
especially for the dead people. They're going to have a third quarter like you wouldn't
As
believe.
good as we've done,
The memorial services are going to be through the roof because people can't have proper funerals.
and we've done great. We had the best economy in the history of the world, not just here, but anywhere in the world. You can talk China, you can talk any other country. We had the best
with you and somehow death loses its sting.
economy anywhere in the world. And we were going for numbers, whether it was unemployment numbers, where we had our best numbers. Employment also numbers, a little different, where we had our best numbers.
Yes, unemployment and employment are very different.
It was almost 160 million
Yeah, take Nataro or take more, quite frankly.
people. All of that, we had the greatest stock market numbers ever. I think we had 142 days where we set records.
Yeah, how many, the Obama administration, how many records did they set? Fastest growth in the stock market from the crash to reaching the number it was before the crash. And then I guess every single day after that it continued to go up?
In a short period of time, 152 days, we set records in the stock market. We rebuilt our military, all built in the United States. All of our equipment built, $1.5 trillion plus.
That's over 10 years. But secondly, where do you think it's normally built?
On the southern border, the wall is being built. It's being built rapidly, and
No.
now you don't hear the
This is this is a rally speech. This is the purpose of this one. This is like, come out, throw up my little transmission accomplished.
opponents talking too much about the border. They don't like to talk about it because it's
Because Mexico shut their border with us before we shut our border with them over coronavirus? Is it because people are no longer stampeding into the highest infection rate in the world?
that we were right on a lot of things. One of the things we were right about, one of the many things, was the border.
Yeah? What were you right about on that?
We have a very powerful border now. We had one of the best weeks in the history of our border between the United States and Mexico.
Oh, yeah? You're telling me that the country with the highest number of cases, highest number of deaths, and who ranks 41st in the world in per capita testing, that people weren't stampeding across the border like they normally are? Really? That's odd.
Our southern border. We had very few people coming in, very, very few, almost
Yeah. It's almost as if they didn't want to die or something.
record low numbers. And the wall is being built. It's up to 181 miles already.
It's repaired, replaced wall. It's the same.
It's being built rapidly. People
No, it isn't.
don't talk about it anymore
Because it's ridiculous.
because
It's ridiculous.
it's very successful. And the
No, because it's ridiculous.
area where the wall has built, that is a lot still, but we want to be up to 450 by a very short period of time. Early next year, we should be up.
Oh, I thought it was by the end of this year, but I thought it was supposed to be by spring. How many times has he moved the goalpost on that 400? We got 180 miles of repaired wall. They just replaced what was there. But he keeps saying this 450 mile number. Does anybody know how many times he's punted that number for the last year and a half?
To 450, and very shortly after that, over 500 miles to be completed.
You're just making up numbers now.
But
Soon 1,000 miles. Soon we'll have a border wall all through our border with China, which I'm going to fill the Pacific Ocean with iron bars and that are electrocuted and pour alligators into the Pacific.
it's had a tremendous impact. But again, we've had the best numbers. The last thing we want now with this pandemic
Is open borders. Yeah, is that what you're claiming? And then please, by the way, follow this up immediately, completely unaware of the idea that we need migrant workers, and a lot of the people in Texas and Arizona and that you're seeking the support from need those workers to come across the border, and then tell us how you're not for open
is
borders.
for people to come across our southern border. And
Just period? Like nobody. Like our southern border, we're just shutting the ports down now. We're shutting all points of entry. Right?
again, we're doing record numbers, meaning record low numbers.
Yeah.
So I
Nobody wants to come to your party, Donald. The food sucks and everybody got sick.
just want to thank everybody, and I want to introduce
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks for thanking me. I appreciate you thanking me. I think I've done a lot of great work during all of these. I have to watch all of these ridiculous gaggles you put together is, pretend press conferences, that are just throwing a cheap, easily slippable mask over your ridiculous campaign events, and where you babble the same bullshit over and over and over again. And you're not going to play Lee Greenwood? Did you play Lee Greenwood on the entry? Because I didn't get to hear it, and I appreciate that because I don't need the copyright strikes.
If you could, please come up, and Brad, if you would, Brad Smith, and they're going to do a little
ditty
explaining as to what we've done.
They're going to explain him for you. Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
With regard to testing and how successful it's been, and then we'll take some questions after that. Thank you very much.
Oh, this will go well.
Well, thank you, Mr. President, for your leadership. And for your high expectations that really made this all come together. And
what?
The uniform support of everyone in the White House and the administration.
Except the ones who have gotten sick recently.
And thank you, Secretary Azar, for providing his leadership at HHS and allowing both Brad and I the opportunity
to cut the budget for the CDC by 15% and cut the pandemic money that you asked for in January in half from $4 to $2 billion.
Opportunity to work on this project. I think it's clear that America does lead the world in testing. I'll go through
and deaths and cases.
Some of the charts that show that we lead quantitatively. I will also suggest that we lead in the diversity of tests, which are
well, you'll suggest that? Is it true?
Very important to establish the testing ecosystem to keep America safe. And clearly, as we've said multiple times, no one beats America when it comes to quality.
Okay, what about the false negatives in the White House that you guys warned everybody about from the very test they were getting in the White House?
Let's start potentially with the next slide.
Oh, okay. We're doing Burke's system.
This may be hard to see, but if you look at the line on top, that's the total numbers of tests done by the United States.
Let's see, where's Italy on that test, on that line? Is Italy not included in there? Why is Italy not included on that slide? I can't think of it. I'm trying, but I can't think of, like, Italy seemed, they had, oh, there it is. Look at that. Tests performed right there. Okay. And then there's, who's this? Who's this? No, that's India. Is Italy? This Germany. And then this is us. COVID tracking pay. Okay, here we go. And that's in our deaths as well. That's the exact same arc as our illness and our deaths. Now all of these, the reason that they go up as far as testing goes, if you overlay these with their deaths, they taper. See the deaths and the cases, the testing goes up and their death rate goes down because they're tracking and tracing and they're organizing their testing so that they can find where the breakouts are and then they don't expand and kill more people. We're just randomly testing people, and half the jack of this, of our arc in here is us testing the White House, military people, the rich, everybody who comes to visit Donald Trump. And by the way, these all need to be done again tomorrow.
No other country in the world comes close to the total numbers.
Okay, and by the way, this is in total numbers. Now, Germany has, 40 million people in it? Italy has about the same. UK about the same. Canada about 36 million people. South Korea is about 40 million people. Like, all these combined have about the same population, except unless you remove India. If you remove India, combine all the other countries presented here, they together have less population than the United States. And if you combined all their testing, it would be through the roof.
Again, as the president has said, today we will top over 9 million tests. And if you look,
I love how they have New Zealand in there. It was like, how many people are in New Zealand? About 75?
At per capita, everyone talks about South Korea being the standard.
No, they talk about Italy being the standard, but that South Korea, their per capita testing and their tracing was why they're
today we will have done more than twice their per capita rate of testing that was accomplished in South Korea.
Yeah, because they already solved their problem.
No matter
largely.
how you look at it, America is leading the world in testing, and how did we get there? So
Volume of human beings, multiple companies, everybody coming together, like it would have happened almost on
the
autopilot.
next slide.
Yeah, show us the next slide, kiddo.
Next slide, please.
All right.
A very
Okay, 79 diagnostic tests authorized. So that seems clear. Do you even know which one of these? Like, what's the success rate on each of these? 85%, 80%. So there's a 20% kill rate on all these. So wipe out. So 60 diagnostic tests, let's just say, are functioning at this point. 25 testing devices are authorized. 12 serology tests are authorized.
important component of how we came to this point was the authorization by the FDA under the leadership of our secretary of many different diagnostic tests, of diagnostic devices, and now
Yeah, because the first ones didn't work.
of serology tests. So you've heard a lot about the different testing, and you see some of the machines up here. Most of the diagnostic tests, all but one, rely on the amplification of the viral RNA, the viral genetic material. And we've talked to you about the diversity of tests. They're very high throughput tests that are done at big reference labs like LabCorp and Quest. But very importantly, there are also tests, and you heard us talk about Cepheid, delivering over 2 million tests, vitally important to rural Americas and to places that do not have very large infrastructure. You've also seen the Abbott test we've talked about. There it is.
Yeah, you're just, so what? You've got 79 different companies working, and what you effectively have less than 1 million of each of those practically available to the entire country. And we're not even talking about the antigen-based test. Like,
Is on the left of the president.
yeah, no, Birx and Fauci aren't anywhere near this place. They're in, I don't know if she's in isolation, but he
About
is.
1.4
So is the vice president, by the way.
million tests as a point of care test.
So is Han. Yeah, how many, everybody in the chat room, remind me how many people at this point. I know so far the vice president's press secretary, the president's valet have tested positive, and then in isolation, there's Dr. Fauci is on limited isolation because of exposure. 6 members of the president's press team, the vice president's press team, were removed from his plane. So I'm assuming that they're in voluntary quarantine right now. Yeah, Ivanka's assistant. That's right.
You get the result within 5 to 15 minutes, and we have deployed
Yeah, 15 minutes.
over 235,000
It's 15 minutes. 5 is in the president's head.
of these tests to the state public health laboratories in every state of this country to make sure that that point of care testing capability is there to research outbreaks like in nursing homes or in certain industrial capacities, and well over 90,000
These are states interacting with private business. And the White House is pretending that they helped coordinate this.
to the Indian Health Service so they could test at a point of care in remote locations. The president
So Governor Abbott and Inslee don't care about the Native American tribes in their states, and they were trying to kill them off using this disease until you guys swooped in. All right, yeah.
also talked
Sure.
about a new first-in-class test. It's listed there as an antigen-based test. This is very important, and you've heard Ambassador Birx
We have one of those. It's so important we have one of
talk
them.
about this multiple times because antigen testing, although complex, is much less complex than the nucleic acid testing that we've had. Quidel had this authorized by the FDA, and as the president said, we'll soon be making over 300,000 tests per day.
How soon? September or next week? What are you talking about? You can't keep saying a very short period of time. We're not buying that anymore.
Do the math.
I am doing the math. But I have it's algebra because I have a bunch of missing numbers in the equation.
That's 9 million point of care tests that we will have every month in just a few weeks.
In just a few weeks. Okay, so what's that? See, in my little algebra problem that I'm trying to do in my head, that's an X right there. That's and I can't, when I'm doing the math without all the numbers.
It will clearly add to, and to a certain degree, transform our landscape.
If what? If in a short order of time we have 9 million? Yeah, it will. Will it be a game changer as far as being able to test through this and stop a second wave? No.
What you don't see up here is the
intelligence, focus, honesty.
important work the FDA did. I'm a swab guy now. I'm very
Ew.
interested in swabs. In order
Are we? Are you really? I'm fascinated.
to make all these tests work, you have to show that a certain swab made of a certain material, performed in a certain way, delivers a highly accurate result.
Right, and you mean unlike what the president said a couple weeks ago inside in the press room where he was like, swabs, nobody swabs, they're swabsy swabs.
And what you're seeing up here is some of the fruits of that labor.
Oh, excuse me, cotton is not a fruit.
Without the authorizations of, for example, the foam nasal swab, we would be blowing through PPE all across the country because of the need for full PPE just to take a test. That has really been changed by this diverse authorization, and a recent authorization allows the great
They had a
manufacturer
glove and shield system set up in South Korea in 2
for
days.
U.S. cotton to
They didn't have to blow through all the PPE to do that. You stepped into a booth.
join our foundational industry of Puritan. Next slide. Last week we did over 1.9
Yeah, the Mark, you're talking about the people in the Secret Service has 11 active cases, 23 recovered, and somewhere in the order of 16 in current isolation.
million tests, and that number is growing. And again, as the president said, and Brad will talk about, our states aspire to do well over 12 million tests over the next 4 weeks.
Yeah, the states aspire to do those things. I mean, California and New York, which alone will cover most of that number. What about the red states? Where's that coming from?
You see the graph growing. What you also see, very importantly, is that little orange bar on the bottom is the cumulative number of positives. Our percent positives are
Yeah, it's going up the more you look. Not everybody in the country has it. And you're retesting people who are in areas that have to go back to work because they're
going down, and that's what we want to see. In fact, in 31 states as of last night, the positivity rate is less than 10%.
Yeah. What was it in Washington State in February? What was the positive rate of contagion in Washington State? Or New York, for that matter, in January? Was it less than 10%? You bet it was. Where is it now?
Just not a litmus test, but is a good idea that we're doing plenty enough testing that we can enter phase 1 for careful reopening.
No. This is not evenly applied over the entire country.
I also want to take the opportunity to say this doesn't happen by accident. I'm seeing everyone in the audience here, and I'm so pleased that they can be here. People sitting in the front have been working literally 18 to 20 hours a day,
And that's why they're dizzy and making stupid
every
decisions.
single day of the week.
Yeah, that's not healthy. You need, go back and listen to the Apollo 13 tapes. They had 2 teams rotating so you could keep people working all the time.
For at least the past 2 months. None of this happens by accident. It happens because their hard work, their sacrifice of their family, all for a common good. And I'm very, very honored to consider you all as my colleagues. And my last slide, as the
Forever.
president said, $11 billion.
Oh, it was 11. He said 1. He said $1 billion, by the way. The president did not say $11 billion. He said 1. He only saw one of the ones. There's 2 ones. They're right next to each other. He said $1 billion.
Are now being announced to be delivered to the states for the sole support of testing.
Yeah, so good. It should. I mean, why isn't it 50? At this rate, how much money are we spending? $11 billion is nothing.
This will give them the resources
No, it won't.
to partner, as they have, with the federal government, with the president, the vice president, the task force, with Brad and I, to achieve their testing goals. And we're going to be very specific, and they know it, that there needs to be minimum numbers to be planned to test. They have to have plans for their vulnerable communities, including nursing homes, including those who are disabled.
Is there a state that doesn't? Let me guess. All those light, super light blue states up there that are the president's base, Alabama and Nebraska and South and North Dakota and Nevada and Arizona. Yeah, those are the states. You talking about that?
Including those who are in prisons or who have working environments that they may.
Let me guess. The ones that are really dark blue and second degree dark blue, those are the states where they have met that standard and are getting the most money. Look at that. New York State and the surrounding area in Connecticut, and I think that's Long Island there, are getting $500 million in that by themselves or more, or in that range. And then the rest of the states are getting between $200 million and $499. Florida, Texas, California, Michigan, Illinois, like Virginia, which is right next. I mean, that's where the Pentagon is, for crying out loud. Ohio and all those states. They're even counting the UP in Michigan getting that extra money. Those are the ones that have either Democratic governors or enough old people or a broad enough state where they're turning purple in the next election cycle.
Have a more likelihood to spread the infection. And combined with that, the Secretary's Office of Minority Health will soon be awarding a large contract to guarantee a national network of state, local, and community-based organizations to assure that those underserved, particularly racial and ethnic minorities, are linked to the services they need.
Yeah, that's in the CARES Act. That's been in the Democrats have both talked about this. This is not integral to the administration. They caught crap for it, and now they're trying to make up ground.
Not only testing, but in care as well. And with that, I'd like to hand it over to Brad Smith, who's the director of the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Innovation, but has really been the chief operating officer to make all of this come together. Brad.
So we now have a COO.
Thank you, Admiral. I want to talk through a little bit specifically the work that we've been doing with the states. So as the Admiral mentioned, over the past few weeks, we've been working with each state to set a target for their testing goal for May. Over the series of a couple of different calls, we've aligned on what those goals are. And as the Admiral mentioned and the President mentioned, they add up to over 12.9 million tests in the month of May. For every state, this is greater than 2% of their population in the entire.
Yeah, but it's not evenly applied.
State being tested in May, and for
look at Rhode Island. You're telling me Rhode Island has more people in it than Puerto Rico, Oregon, Iowa, Georgia, Kansas?
States, it's a much higher number than that. When you compare this as the president.
Oh, that's their per. Okay, so test per 1,000 in the population. So Rhode Island is kicking. And they've got South Korea on there just as like, screw South Korea.
I mentioned to South Korea. South Korea is actually below that 2%, not for a month, but for their total test to date since the start of the year.
Yeah, because they bent their curve and they're done, basically.
So our states have come together to set really ambitious goals that we're excited.
They have to. We have so many cases compared to them.
Support them in meeting. If you go to the next slide. As I talked about last time in the press briefing, there are really three parts to making sure that a test can happen. The first part is the specimen collection supplies, the second part is the machines, and the third part are the lab supplies that the machines need to run. And what we
Right. And did they get these themselves or did they get them from you? It says all states have received initial shipments, swabs being supplied in May. Where is it that says that these came from the federal government gathering them versus the states getting them themselves? Because California and New York especially have been buying their own stuff.
been working to do is to make sure that each state has all three of those parts to be able to conduct the number of tests.
Right, so you've been checking in with them to make sure that they do.
The first part is the specimen collection supplies.
Throw your arm out of the socket, patting yourself on the back.
The commercial market today is providing a large number of these supplies already to states, and
The president insisted on South Korea being put on that list just to told you, show you.
The hospitals. But we wanted to ensure that every state had more than what they needed to be able to conduct the number of tests they're aiming in May. So what we've done is we've purchased enough tests to support the state testing goals for May and June. So we will be sending more than 12.9 million swabs. And
that's the exact same number of tests that they were saying. That's how they're gauging. So every shipped swab, they're counting as part of their test. Understand? So every swab that goes out the door, they're saying every single Q-tip we've sent out counts as us. We get to chalk that up to our testing scorecard. And that's how we're comparing, as if all of them make it, all of them are used for that, and nobody needs a second one.
Over 10 million media to the states over the course of May, and a similar or greater number over the course of June. In addition, we have several million in reserve.
This doesn't account for false positives or false negatives. This doesn't account for whether or not there's any issues with them getting someplace.
So states are able to exceed their goal. In the third and fourth week of May, we can provide them even more swabs and transport media. And again, this is in addition to what
you're not providing them. You're checking to make sure that they've gotten their own.
Already available in the commercial market. If you go to
right. See, that's what you notice that at the end.
Next slide. There are large numbers, has been talked about many times, a large number of testing machines across the country, over 5,000 different machines that can conduct these tests. The key part is making sure that the machines and that the labs have enough supplies to run the machines. There will be, in the month of May, commercially produced over 25 million test kits, which is either the PCR and extraction kits or the cartridges, to be able to support tests.
The cartridges?
In their effort, states in their testing effort. And what we've been working...
Yeah, well, if you got 25 million test kits, but only 12.9 million swabs,
to do with each state is understand their...
Test kits, not test machines. Let's be abundantly clear. The test kits are the materials needed to test the swab that's taken from the person who is potentially carrying COVID-19. 12.9 million swabs, 25 million test kits. Do you see the problem?
Total goal. And each of the manufacturers has been a great partner with us and told us how many tests they're shipping to each lab in each state over the course of May.
Great, they told you that. What are you doing to increase that capacity to actually help cover the rest of the country?
And what we know is that...
sorry, the answer is nothing.
In the aggregate, the number of test kits the state is getting is greater than their testing goal for the month of May. In addition to what this...
No. There's a bunch of states that you're talking about that don't care and are in the Trump QAnon zone that testing is bad. You're talking about those folks?
States have already purchased. There's over 7 million additional tests that remain unpurchased, the majority of those from Thermo Fisher, which is the most common machine in the country. So we feel very confident the states will not only have the specimen collection supplies and the machines, but also the extraction kits and the reagents they need to be able to hit or potentially exceed their testing goals. And if you go to the last slide, the last piece of the puzzle is making sure that Americans have access to these tests. Healthcare providers, hospitals, primary care physicians are already providing these tests to date. And we, for the past 6 or 7 weeks, have been partnered with the retailers who have massively been ramping up their effort. Today, there are over 240 retail.
Yeah, this is what states are putting forward. This is not the federal government doing this. And in some cases where they are, it's clearly election sites like Texas, Florida.
Sites. We've been working with the retailers to make sure that they're specifically targeting low-income and other vulnerable communities across the country. And we're talking with them about potentially opening more than another...
Which states are you having to insist do that?
1,000 additional.
Tell us. So some states, you're telling us that some states are inadequately handling the most vulnerable among them. Which states are those?
Sites over the next month or two. So we hope that we've put together the right pieces.
By the way, we have 229 people just in the YouTube and 7 on Twitch. Hi, Twitch. Good to see you guys. How are you? Give us a thumbs up and a like and a subscribe and a follow and all that kind of fun stuff. And hi, and how are you? Yeah, thanks for being here, Natalie. And hello to folks on Periscope. Feel free to, super heart, whatever that is.
The puzzle, having access points for patients and Americans across the country, having the specimen collection supplies needed to...
Oh, you mean this like swabs where you only have half as many swabs going to the states as you have testing kits?
Take the test, having the machines.
If swabs are easy, Trump told us, their swabs are easy. Swabs are so easy.
And also having the lab testing supplies with the machines. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Brad. Maybe you'll both stay there. Could be some questions. Okay, please, John, go ahead.
They just hang on that chart for a little while.
You can't hear me.
Yeah, there we go. This is going to be good.
We had a situation here at the White House on Friday where a member of the Vice President's staff tested positive for coronavirus, which has now caused 3 of the top U.S. officials involved in the coronavirus.
Why is John sitting like that?
Response to self-isolate.
Are they miking his butt?
Two-part question. Where did the system break down to allow that to happen? And what would you say to employers who look at the experience here at the White House and say, are we ready for this?
I don't think the system broke down at all.
Where they make him walk over and squat down for that? Hold the mic up, for God's sake.
One person tested
Send some smoke. Thanks, Jenny. And thank you, Natalie. Welcome.
positive, surprisingly, because
So, so funny.
the previous day tested negative.
Yeah, dude, that's how it works. There seems to be a breakdown mentally for this lad, where he does not recognize that you can be negative for a disease the day before, catch it, and test positive.
3 people that were in contact, relative contact, who I believe they've all tested totally negative, but they are going to, for a period of time, self-isolate. So that's not breaking down.
So that's not breaking down. You have no idea what you're talking about, do you? Like, where in this? All right.
It can happen. It's the hidden enemy. Remember.
I thought it was the invisible enemy. Is it hidden or is it invisible? If it's hidden, we can see it. If it's all right.
It's the hidden enemy. So
It's hidden anemone. It's this hidden sea anemone.
things happen, but the 3 tested negative. The one who tested positive will be fine. It will be absolutely fine. Yeah, John.
And what do you say, Mr. President, to other companies who may look at this and say, I don't know if we're ready for all this?
Well, I think we have a lot of people in the White House, and we
Thanks, guys.
had one. Basically, we had.
Yeah. What do you say to places where people don't want to die?
One person. So we had a lot of people that work here. This building is shocking if you looked at the numbers.
All right. We had 11 cases / 15 cases / 1 cases, depending on which one of his lies you want to believe. And that led to 80,000 dead. You hear that? That's so loud in my ear, and I'm not quite sure how to slow it down. We'll figure it out. 667. Oh, just because. That's awesome. Thanks, Michelle. So, does he not understand why there will be a... does he not understand why in the world you would know that, like, in a building where his own chart, by the way, a couple weeks ago showed that the virus hangs in the air for 60 minutes and lives, and you can walk through it, that puff of air, and catch it.
And it's also tremendous numbers of people coming in. Normally you wouldn't do that, but because we're running a country, we want to keep our country running. So we have a lot of people coming in and out.
And you test them, right? And you have protocols in place like adults.
Many of those people, most of those people are tested depending on what portion of the Oval Office area they're going in. Everybody coming into the president's office gets tested. And I felt no vulnerability whatsoever, John.
Why? What kind of an idiot would feel no vulnerability? The vice president's press secretary tested positive, and she's the husband, she's the wife, her husband, I don't quite know what role they play in each other's lives. Her husband is one of your key advisors and is around you all the time. He doesn't get tested every day. He wasn't getting tested every day up till this.
The 2 people, as I said, and 3 people they have been tested, and it's negative, and they'll be probably out of...
They'll be probably what? The what?
Quarantine very quickly. Okay?
John, if I
Quarantine
can
very-
follow up on that, your staff, your senior staff, as you just referenced, is able to get tested every day. When will it be that Americans across the country will be able to get tested every day as they go back to work?
Very soon. I mean, really very soon. It's an interesting question.
In a very short
because
period of time.
Normally you would have said that you are not tested, and you would have been, knocking us for not getting tested. So if we get tested, it's a problem, and if we don't get tested, it's a problem. But I like the way your question was phrased better this way, because it is a positive. We are tested. We have great capability. You look at all of these machines here. They're incredible machines. They're the best anywhere in the world. No place in the world has this kind of equipment. other countries are calling sophisticated countries, and they're calling lots of countries, and we're trying to make as much as we can available to them, because there's nothing like what we've been able to do in literally a couple of months. What they've been able to do, the private sector, how they got it done. This is a 5 to 15 minute test, as an example, the Abbott Laboratories test. These tests are highly sophisticated, very quick, very good. This is things that didn't even exist a short while ago.
No, of course they existed. What are you talking about? Why in the world does he think, this boggles my mind, why in the world does he think that there is a, I can't even grasp his thought process in this. First of all, I don't understand the press thing where he's like, if we do get tested, you think it's bad, and if we don't get tested, you think it's bad. There's no pleasing you folks. There's really nothing we can do. And secondly,
so we do have a great testing capability. At the White House, we're doing it. And I think, generally speaking, we had a call with the governors the other day. Generally speaking, without exception, they were all extremely happy with what's going on with respect to their testing. Okay?
But should people be told to go back to work until they have that assurance that they and their co-workers are able to get a test, which we're still not there?
We're leaving that up to the governors, as you know. And if we see something wrong, we'll call them out and we'll stop it. But we are leaving it up to the governors. Some are being not aggressive enough, in my opinion, and some are being a little bit aggressive, but they're being very careful. And the people of the country...
Which ones aren't being aggressive enough? Call out your own party right now. Which ones?
They've learned a lot over the last 2 months.
Is this pretending to care? Is this what we're watching?
They've learned about social distancing and washing your hands and other things that we've all learned and talked about. They've learned about, I see just about everybody has a face mask on. They've learned about face masks, the good and the bad, by the way. It's not a one-sided thing, believe it or not. But
tell us the downside of wearing masks.
Our country has learned. Our country has been incredible. And you see the numbers, they're dropping very substantially. The numbers are dropping around our country very, very substantially. So we leave that, John, up to the governors, and I think they're making a lot of good decisions. We've had, as I said, a great relationship with governors, Democrat and Republican, and I think overall they're making very good decisions.
Because a bunch of them are opening up like nutcases right now? Anybody? I don't...
Nobody in this group.
Everybody's they know you're going to give the same stupid answer. Everybody needs like film to use of some new information, and they came out here to watch you kind of demonstrate. Give them a show. Show them how to swab something. Bring over Azar. Swab his nose.
All the ones behind the rope. That's interesting. Please.
Thank you, Mr. President. You said in your comments earlier, we have met the moment we have prevailed. To you, sir, is the mission accomplished, even with 1.4 million?
No, we prevailed on testing is what I'm referring to. That was with regard to testing. You never prevail when you have 90,000 people, 100,000 people, when you have 80,000 people as of today, when you have the kind of death you're talking about, when you have potentially millions of people throughout the world that are dying. That's not prevailing. What I'm talking about...
Yeah, you do prevail. You can prevail over this. I mean, you could argue that once, PrEP and other treatments for AIDS came about, that moved us way closer. 2 people have been permanently cured of the disease. There will be a time wherein AIDS will have been conquered, and you would say, yeah, we prevailed over an enemy. Like, that's like saying we've never won a war because anybody died. What?
We have a great testing capacity now. It's getting even better. There's nobody close to us in the world, and we certainly have done a great job
in deaths
on testing. And testing is a very big, important function. By the
Is it really? Because what about those folks that were saying it's not?
Some people consider it more important than others.
Which who? You keep saying this. Who?
To be honest with you?
Yeah, be honest with me. Who? Which dickhead from which red state says this is all a big, like, World Health Organization UN Illuminati conspiracy.
But testing certainly is a very important function, and we have prevailed.
Because I don't buy it. It's super weird. Like, this is just a continuing problem with him. So.
The best equipment anywhere in the world. Okay, please. Yeah, please go ahead.
There are a variety of reports that Chinese hackers are attempting to steal technology related to vaccine research. Is this something you're concerned about? What can you say?
Always.
So what else is new with China? What else?
Always
is new?
concerned.
I'm not happy with China. They should have stopped this at the source. They could have stopped it right at the source. So now you're telling me they're hacking. So I just say this, Steve, what else is new?
What else?
We're
is
watching
new?
it very closely.
If I could follow up, sir, the South China Morning Post, the Beijing newspaper, says that China would like to reopen negotiations on the trade deal to make the terms more favorable to them. Is this something you'd be interested in doing?
No, not at all. Not even a little bit, no. I'm not interested. We signed a deal. I had heard that too. They'd like to reopen
You signed phase 1.
the trade talk to make it a better deal for them. China's been taking advantage of the United States for
many years because we bought more of their stuff than they bought of ours.
many years, for decades, because we had people at this position right here where I'm standing.
Why are Americans not buying Chinese cars? Why are Americans not buying more? Why aren't they getting their houses built by China? Why are Americans only buying stuff? Wait, what was the Walmart? Yeah.
Sitting right in that office,
Thanks,
the Oval
Georgina.
Office, that allowed that to happen. No, I'm not interested in that. Let's see if they live up to the deal that they signed. Okay? Please, go ahead.
Yeah, let's not.
Mr. President, what are your thoughts about a second round of direct payments to Americans that's included in the House Democratic bill?
Well, we're talking about...
Why are the mics bent over like that? What is happening? What is this? I mean, is it supposed... Initially, they thought this was just like aimed at people so you could kind of generically hear them. Does no one know how to work a shotgun mic at the White House?
that with a lot of different people.
We don't want to let anybody near it, but we're going to bend it over so what? The person sitting... One reporter sitting near it can lean over and talk, and then... do you have a question?
I want to see a payroll tax cut. I want to see various things that we want. I want the workers to be taken care of, but we are talking about that. We're negotiating with the Democrats. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, you want a payroll tax cut, and they don't want to do that, and so you're willing to scuttle help for everybody else while it's happening.
But as I said, it's a transition, and this is really going to be, in my opinion, we'll see.
Oh boy, here comes the big phrase. Let's bring it.
But I think it's going to be something that's going to be very special. It's a transition to greatness, and greatness.
You mean transition into greatness or transition to greatness? I need to know because I'm making T-shirts.
Next year, right from the beginning, I think
Oh, it'll be next year now.
we're going to do fantastically well. I view the third quarter, as I said, as a transition quarter. Could be pretty good, but a transition quarter toward the
Yeah, it's also a great quarter for the virus to come back.
end of the fourth quarter. You're going to see some numbers that are going to be tremendous, I think. And next year, you're going to have potentially the kind of numbers that you saw before and maybe even better, because there is that pent-up demand that is, a lot of people wanted to do things. They were ready to do things, and they've had to hold back because of the virus.
They didn't want to die.
So I think you're going to have, with that pent-up demand, a phenomenal year next year, unless somebody messes it up by coming along and raising taxes, doubling, tripling, quadrupling your taxes.
Who's going to double, triple, and quadruple taxes? What are you talking about? You think there's going to be, on capital gains, there's going to be a 45% tax? Or 60% tax, I guess?
Like a certain party, namely the Democrats, want
Oh, you kind of blow it when you make your little hinty moments.
to do. You'll mess it all up.
They'll mess it all up by raising your taxes.
The greatest in the world. I presided, this administration presided over it. It got great for a reason, and we'll do.
Yeah, because you were riding the curve of the Obama administration, because you're on the exact same slope, and yet you have doubled the deficit.
Again, and we'll do it again very quickly and very easily. I see that happening.
By doubling the deficit again? Are you going to double it even more? Thanks.
Yes, ma'am, please.
You guys are so awesome.
Thank you, Mr. President. Almost everyone, as you noted, in the Rose Garden is wearing a mask today. Why haven't you required everyone at the White House to wear masks before now?
Well, if they're a certain distance from me or if they're a certain distance from each other, they do. In the case of me, I'm not close to anybody. I'd like to be close to these two.
Well, we're not talking about your relationships and your friendships and your family. We're talking about physical distance.
Gentlemen, they're hardworking, great men, but they just said, frankly, let's keep it this way. So obviously,
so everybody around you is glad to be taking this time away from you.
in my case, I'm very far away from everyone. But if you look at all of those people over there, every one of them, from what I see, these are White House staffers, they're White House representatives, they're White House executives, and everybody has a mask on. We've had just about everybody I've seen today has worn a mask. Yeah.
That's funny. Yeah, weird. Why would that be? Would that be because 3 people in your inner circle, 11 Secret Service people are currently ill with it, or 16, I think it was. What is it? 11 are currently sick, 23 have recovered, 60 have at one point either been quarantined or are in the process of quarantine.
Were you the one who required that, sir?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, you made the order. Everybody needs to wear a mask. Captain Germaphobe strikes again.
Go ahead.
Mr. President, you're now promising that everyone who needs a test will be able to get one at some point soon. Can you give us some figures on what you're changing to ramp up testing? When will that be a true statement exactly? And how
When will it be a true statement? That's adorable.
exactly are you going to accomplish that?
Yeah, you don't understand how this works. They don't accomplish anything. They show slides of other people's accomplishments, and then they say, we did that. See how that works?
True statement already. We have more testing than any country in the world by far, but I'll let Admiral go into a little bit of the
Admiral?
future.
You mean the Admiral? Or you just nickname him Admiral?
When you look at the testing numbers that we
He's super excited about this.
worked with collaboratively with the state leadership, it's not just with the governor, but the state health officers, the state epidemiologists.
Right, the state's doing it. We get that. We understand the state is doing this. Yeah, Admiral Swaby.
The public health labs. It's really a combination of
Hey, guy with stripes on his jacket, answer the question.
testing those who need something for diagnosis, diagnostic testing, tracing, so testing those who have been around the people with a diagnosis. But the largest fraction of that is really moving into surveillance. That is testing those who are asymptomatic. And
yeah, we're not doing that right now, other than in the White House.
you do the numbers, this amount of testing on a state-to-state basis really is in the range that we need to accomplish all of that, certainly within the range that we need. So it really encompasses those 3 things. The other thing I would say is, particularly as we move into the summer, there are surveillance mechanisms, and I talked about them before, like a weather radar. And just think about that weather radar. The influenza-like illness network, which is at
totally unrelated to this, fever is not one of the primary issues. As a matter of fact, people who have gotten the worst illness from it tend to have a low-grade, almost non-existent fever.
about 75% of healthcare institutions.
Just because somebody has the flu doesn't mean they have COVID or vice versa.
And syndromic surveillance. So if we see a blip on that weather radar, combined with CDC personnel in every single state and with contact tracers, we really run to the fire, right? And that's when you detect, you trace, and you shut off that outbreak right when it starts.
Yeah, that didn't answer her question at all.
Mr. President, there does seem to be a double standard here, Mr. President, where members of your own staff can get tests frequently when they need it, but ordinary Americans cannot. So when will the rest of America have the same access that members of your own White House have to testing?
I hope she enjoyed that because it's her last question on White House soil.
You know what? If we didn't get the tests, if we did no tests in the White House, you'd be up complaining, why aren't you getting tests for the White House? See, we can't win because...
No, that's not what we're talking. Like, notice how he just makes it all about him. What is the matter with you?
If we didn't get the test, you'd be up. I understand you very well, better than you understand yourself.
Ew. What, like, pickup artist book that he learned that line from.
And frankly, if we didn't get tests done, you'd be up complaining about the fact that we didn't have the tests done. Now that we're doing so well on tests,
You're not doing so well. You're getting tested every single day. Other people can't.
So quick and so fast, 5 minutes, etc., and so accurate, you're complaining that we get.
You're complaining that we're getting our tests.
So you can't win. Go ahead, Phil.
So that's the message to the American people. You can't win. So just you were concerned you were going to be tired of winning. Now you know you can't win.
Yeah.
I'm so angry.
Mr. President, many Americans want to return to their normal lives, but they're afraid to do so. How can you ensure Americans that it's safe to go to their own workplaces when the most secure workplace in the country, the White House, cannot contain the spread of the coronavirus? It's infected some of your own staff.
Well, when you say some, so we have a person, and the person.
A person. We've got one case, and they're doing very well. Suddenly, the White House is Seattle 2.5 months ago.
Something happened right after a test was done.
Something happened. Yeah, they tested positive. They have COVID-19. Something happened. What, they win the lottery? They bought a new pair of shoes? What?
3 other people met that person, came into relative contact.
Relative contact. Yeah, one of them is your advisor, and he and his wife are relatives, and so they do relative contact. Did they do relative contact?
Little contact, and they're self-quarantining. That is not exactly not controlling it. I think we've controlled it very well. We have hundreds and hundreds of people a day pouring into the White House. It's a massive office complex, including the very large building right behind us that you know so well.
You mean the White House?
I think we're really doing a very good job in watching it, and I think it's very well contained, actually. And part of the reason.
Why would you think it's well contained? The vice president is basically in hiding.
It is because of all the tests we're able to give.
Because, yeah, that's what she was saying. You get to have all these tests, and the rest of us are stuck out here without them.
It was one person, and the other people were only people. They're quarantined. You understand this, Phil? They're quarantined for a specific reason. The reason is they were in the general proximity of the one person.
Yeah, and you were in general proximity. Everybody in that office is in general proximity.
And the one person, I believe, will be fine in a very short period of time.
Oh, you do? Oh, I see. I'm sure that's very reassuring after your statements about Washington State.
Hasn't Vice President Pence followed the CDC guidelines of self-isolation and other people who might have been exposed
to
this?
That I'm going to have to add.
You'd have to ask him. I don't know why he's not.
That he will give you that information. Whatever he is proceeding and doing, he will give you that information.
Why wouldn't you know? If you ordered everyone to wear masks, why are you not in charge of whether the vice president, who is your subordinate, is in quarantine or not?
Sure that they put out a notice. John, go ahead.
Oh, a notice. Okay.
Mr. President, up until now, it's thought that the most vulnerable people were those above the age of 60 or 70 or 80, and the children were pretty much, I don't want to say immune from this, but weren't affected by it. But all day long in the news today, we have been hearing and seeing this terrible syndrome that some 85 children have now. 3 of them have died. What is the task force talking about in terms of that, and what could be done about it?
Yeah, we're seeing that all over the world now with young children. Very, very.
No. The 85 cases he's talking about are in the United States.
Tiny percentage, but it's the swelling and the skin rash. And
the swelling, you mean inflammation?
Looking at that very closely, John. It's a phenomena that's just been brought to everyone's attention a couple of weeks ago. Admiral, you may have something to say about that.
So thank you for pointing that out. And again, I've said many times I'm a pediatrician and a pediatric ICU doctor. This syndrome, which we call, or similar to Kawasaki syndrome, it has been seen in a novel coronavirus before, and it's associated with illnesses. So we have a very strong activation on this. We do know treatments for this, but the CDC is interacting actively with the
We do know treatments for this?
Pediatric Intensive Care Unit network to create case definitions and to understand how this is going and if there are predispositions. The National Heart, Lung, and Blood Institute, I spoke to Dr. Gary Gibbons, who directs that, who is advancing many research projects based on that. The ASPR, the Assistant Secretary for Preparedness and Response, has a team out in several areas looking at if there are any special treatments. We know what the basic treatment is, but this is a little bit different than we normally see.
So then you don't know what the basic treatment is.
So there really is an activation among all the branches within HHS, working with networks at children's hospitals and ICU nets. It is a small percentage, but it is quite frightening. And this reflects the fact that this virus affects the vasculature. We see clotting, we see strokes. And this is a vasculature phenomenon of inflammation we see in children.
President, with this newly emerging syndrome now among young children, what do you say to parents who would like to get their children back to school but are now looking at this and potentially afraid to do that?
Well, again, it's a tiny percentage, but you're right. So we're looking into it very strongly. And the Admiral, as he said, he's known about this for long before this happened. But it is
apparently not.
Very, very small percentage. And people recover from that. The children recover from that.
No, that's 3 have died. A bunch of them are in dire straits, and their bodies, like, they need time to recover. It wrecks them.
Right?
Yeah.
No, not right.
Yes, sir. Most do recover from this, but it is a serious.
It's a debilitating recovery.
And it can be a fatal condition. So
I am panicked. This is horrifying.
We do want to make sure that parents understand that high fevers, red rashes, particularly in your child, you may need to contact your healthcare provider. There are treatments for this. They work very effectively if gotten early, at least for the vast majority of the cases.
We're studying that very closely, and it's
no, you're not.
Been on the radar.
We're looking on it very strongly, and it's been on the radar, and we've seen it, and
for weeks actually, because we've seen this for quite a while. But
if you've seen it for quite a while, then why aren't you issuing guidelines on it?
It's been very rare, but we're looking at it very closely. It's very important to us. I think one of the things we're most proud of is this just came out: deaths per 100,000 people. So deaths per 100,000 people. Germany and the United States are at the lowest rung of that ladder, meaning low is a positive, not a negative. Germany and the United States are the 2 best in deaths per 100,000 people, which, frankly, to me, that's perhaps the most important number there is. Please go in the back.
Yeah, that's not a per capita number, by the way. That number is skewed by countries that don't have that many people in them. But go ahead. All right.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Smile after the question about children's deaths.
I have 2 questions, one on the Ahmaud Arbery case and one on the coronavirus. The first on the coronavirus, the vice president is said to be in some sort of self-isolating, keeping his distance from people. What do you say to Americans who say, how can you keep me safe? How can you reopen the government if even the vice president is self-isolating? And why hasn't testing gotten up to the point where every American who wants a test can get a test?
Well, the vice president, first of all, has been tested, and he's negative, and it was tested yesterday, tested today, and he's negative.
But why is he isolating then if he's negative? It's not a problem. If you believe the test, if they're 100%, if this is the best test ever and you can totally trust them and he's had every possible test, then why is he not there?
In good shape, and I think that that's going to be fine. As far as Americans get...
But why is he in quarantine if that's...
a test, they should all be able to get a test right now. They should...
They can't.
Able to get a test. That's the problem with a question like that. We go through a whole announcement saying we're number 1 in the world by far, by a factor of 2 and even 3 and 4, depending on where you're looking. And I get a question, when will everybody be able to get tested? If somebody wants to be tested right now, they'll be able to be tested.
No, that's not true. You just said yourself there are 25 million tests going to be available by the end of the month, and 12.9 million, and 9 or 2? 12.6? Who cares? 12.6 million swabs, half as many swabs as test kits.
As far as the incident you're talking, I think it's horrible, and it's certainly being looked at by many people. I'm speaking to many people about it. I saw the picture of him in his tuxedo. It was so beautiful. I mean, he looks like a wonderful young guy. Would have been a wonderful, just a wonderful guy. I think it's a horrible thing. I think it's a horrible thing. Now, with that being said, as you know, they're studying the case very carefully. They're interviewing everybody involved, and we'll see what happens. To me, it's a very sad thing. I spoke to a number of people that are...
Anybody remember when Obama said that Trayvon Martin looked like his son, you know, and we went through that moment with him, and the right wing has been going nuts with that ever since, that was the most divisive statement he could possibly say, like, which is a normal reflective moment, and now, like, yeah, you think they'll have the same reaction to him saying that about the tuxedo?
Very much involved.
Was it the tuxedo that he thought was nice? Good
Lord. I've been following that one very closely. It breaks your heart to watch it. It breaks your heart, and certainly the video was a terrible-looking video to me, but you have a lot of people looking at it, and hopefully an answer is going to be arrived at very quickly. But it's something that is heartbreaking.
Question about the case, if I could ask it. The specific question I have is, you said that there possibly are things that happened that were not recorded on the tape. Could you expound on what you mean by that and your thoughts on...
Well, I saw the tape, and when they moved left, I don't believe, when they moved left outside of the tape, nobody saw what was going on. Nobody saw it's an empty spot on the tape, I guess. Now, do they have additional tapes? I hope. But I will say that it's something that, based on what I saw, doesn't look good. Somebody that I have a lot of respect for is Senator Scott of South Carolina. You know who I'm talking about. He's a great gentleman. He's a great senator. He's a great gentleman, Tim Scott. And I called him 2 days ago. I said, Tim, what do you think? Tell me. What do you think? He's very disturbed by it. He's very disturbed, and I'm very disturbed also.
So... All right, we're at the point where he's just calling black people to check. Like, you can't look at it with your own eyes and see that? Oh, good Lord.
Please, go ahead.
President Trump, thank you. I have two questions, one on testing and one on Democratic states that you tweeted about. First, the money for this new...
Like, as soon as you said Democratic states, he grips the podium. Oh, God.
Testing support today comes from the CARES Act, which you signed into law 42 days ago. Did your delay in embracing widespread testing have anything to do with the desire to suppress the official number of U.S. cases and deaths as you try to reopen the country?
No, we just wanted to make sure that we had the proper machinery, apparatus, and everything else out there before.
Yeah, we wanted to make sure that all these were perfect. Before, we wanted to make sure that we had the perfect tests. That's why I instructed the FDA to clear 79 tests, sight unseen, no matter what their ratio of quality is, or whether they have false negatives or false positives. That's why we got those out as quickly as possible. Yeah, I was worried about the quality of the tests. Meanwhile, he gives the FDA, like, literally, like, just have them put a label that some of these are, have the purveyor of the test say that it's not always right. It's not always positive or negative. We sometimes get it wrong. Put a sticker like that on the side of it and then send them out. I need numbers of tests. I don't care if they work.
People started wasting money. It's a method of saving money. We want to make sure we had even things like this. Plus, they have machines that are far more complex than this. They have massive machines at some of the laboratories that can do millions of tests. We want to make sure everything was in place. Okay, go ahead.
Why? Why not implement the DPA? You got the money for that. Why not implement the DPA for testing? Because you know ultimately testing will be the key.
Earlier today, you tweeted
Good Lord.
that Democrats are moving slowly for political purposes. Why do you believe that their motive is politics rather than public safety? And how do you respond to criticism that you're also motivated by politics to try to grow the economy ahead of the election?
Well, I think that if you look at Pennsylvania as an example, if you look at various other states, I won't get into them.
Well, she just asked you to get into them. That's the whole point, dummy.
The people want to go back. The numbers are getting to a point where they can, and there just seems to be no effort on certain blue states to get back into gear, and the people aren't going to stand for it. They want to get back.
So you're saying take up arms against your governor, like in Michigan, and just shoot her and open the state up? Is that what you're thinking?
They're not going to stand for it. They want...
What do you mean they're not going to stand for it? Stand for what? They're elected officials making decisions based on what they were voted in office to do, which is to protect the citizens first and foremost?
Our country open. I want our country open too. I want it open safely. but I want it open. Don't forget, people are dying the other route. You can go with the enclosed route. Everything's closed up. You're in your house. You're not allowed to move. People are dying with that, too. You look at drug addiction. You look at suicides.
Really? Does anybody have a current chart on that? Is it arcing up right now? Is there a tipping point in that chart that anybody can see in this? I have not seen a single. Where's their slide on that? Where's the slide on? Look, oh my God. Yeah, exactly, Aubrey. Turn those machines back on. Sell. Is there a rising death toll rate from COVID that is being crisscrossed with or encapsulated by suicide and drug use in this? No.
You look at some of the things that are taking place, people are dying that way too. You could make the case it's in even greater numbers.
No, you couldn't make the case it's even greater numbers. If it is, show the numbers.
So it's a
farce. You're lying and you're insane.
It's a situation that some people, and I've noticed that some states could be moving more quickly, and also at the same time safety. Look, safety is paramount, but people are dying in the lockdown position too.
Yeah. Based on what? Where are we seeing this? Where in the hell is he getting the idea that more people are in danger of dying from locking down the country? And here's the other thing. Nobody's suggesting staying in this lockdown. They're just saying have testing available so that people can safely get out. You use the DPA, get us up in 2 weeks to having the testing materials available nationwide everywhere as fast as possible.
And everybody understands that. They're just starting to find out. And look at what's going on.
What are they just finding out?
With drugs, and look at what's happening with suicides.
Yeah, what is happening with drugs and suicides that isn't normal drugs and suicide? Yeah, no, 80,000 people have not died from suicide and drugs in the last month.
Yeah, please. Please go ahead.
Hi, Mr. President. So Americans have been self-quarantining for several months now, social distancing, yet we're still seeing about 20,000 new cases a day, 1,000 to 2,000 deaths. Is there anything else the administration is planning to do to get these new cases under control? Because we seem to be on a plateau. Or is this just
the 20,000, the numbers are way down from what they were 2 weeks ago. I mean, the numbers are really coming down and very substantially. This weekend...
No, they're not. They're going down in New York and they're going up everywhere else.
...was one of the lowest we've had. This is, the numbers are coming down very rapidly, all throughout the country, by the way. There may be one exception, but...
One state. What is that rotten state? The kids...
Throughout the country, the numbers are coming down rapidly.
No, they're not.
I think you see that, Admiral.
Yeah, Admiral, say that.
Yeah, but now 130,000 cases that go through August. Do you agree with those models? Is that your expectation as well?
Well, the models haven't been exactly accurate. These are models done by a lot of think tanks, a lot of universities. You look at some of the models, they've been way off.
Yeah, like yours when you said it was going to peter out at 60 or you're not going to even reach the 100,000 person mark. Listen to me, dollars. I'm talking like him now. Thank you so much.
Few of the models have been accurate, but as far as the models are concerned, if you go by the model, we were going to lose 2.2 million people. And because we mitigated, we did things that were very tough for our country to do, frankly. We had to turn off our whole magnificent economy. We had to turn down the
glory days. Young girls' eyes, glory days.
Country, we're at the lowest of all of the models. I mean, if you look at, I guess that 100 to 120,000 people would be at the low side, and we're at. There's nothing low. Look, nothing low. One is too many people, and I say it all the time. One person to lose for this is too many people.
Well, then why are you opening so early? Why don't you have the tests in place? Like, if you're saying one is too many, then why do you not use the DPA to enforce production of tests to get it up in the 50 million testing range?
It's a disgrace what happened.
Yeah, it is.
But if you look at the models, we're at the lowest of those projections.
Because the entire country shut down. You're looking at that arc from nobody doing anything. Like,
But the
we're literally, 2 months ago, what, 15, 20 cases, and we now have 80,000 dead. We're going to have 100,000 by next week. And then this idiot and we now have, 1.5 million cases, and he wants to reopen the country again without yes, he's wearing shoulder pads. It's an 80s suit, and, it's the only likable thing about him.
models are not models done necessarily by the White House. They're models done by many people all over the world.
Fake news.
And if you take the most respected of those people, many of those models are wrong. I mean,
no, they were projected on either low mitigation or no mitigation, and we took a lot of effort and worked towards that and brought it down. But we're going to see those numbers go up. And by the way, all the projections were using mitigation through the end of May and death figures till August.
Wrong as far as the U.S. is concerned, because those numbers are nowhere near what was projected potentially.
No, they're not. They're saying through August. We're looking at easily 130,000 cases by mid-June at this rate.
Expectation of what the death toll is going to look like by the summer, by the...
You know what? I don't want to think about it even. I know that.
Great. Okay, cool. Nice job, dude. That's the, yeah.
Tell him, McCluskey. Tell him what time it is.
I don't even want to think about the death tolls. It's your job, dude.
We're doing everything we can. We're doing a good job. We acted very...
No, you're not. No, you're not.
...early. We acted extremely early in keeping China out of our country and...
No, we didn't. We were behind 40 other countries who closed travel with China first. The Chinese stopped travel out of Wuhan. 3 airlines stopped flights into and out of the United States to China before he said that he was stopping travel from China. And by that time, it was already in the country and already in Italy.
People from China coming in, other than our citizens, which we obviously had to take, and they were quarantined or watched carefully. They were tested. They were watched very carefully.
By the way, in our chat room, PSTAB says suicide rates are always tied to unemployment rates. Unemployment has gone up, but some of that can be mitigated with relief funds. That's precisely it. And so fighting over this $2,000 a month thing with the Democrats just so you can get a payroll tax cut so that they can scuttle Social Security eventually, that's what would cause the suicides in the next month and the one after that.
We had about 40,000 people coming in from China, from Asia, and we had to obviously take the people. Can you imagine if I said you're a U.S. citizen, we're not going to take you?
They weren't all U.S. citizens. Some of them were here on resident visas. And if they came through anywhere else, they were allowed to come back through. If they volunteered that they'd been in Wuhan specifically in the 14 days, they were asked to quarantine. But if they flew straight from China, that was the ban, right, on non-resident visas. New non-resident visas, those people couldn't fly in. But anybody else could fly in after that ban. And if you bounce through another country, you could just come in willy-nilly. It didn't matter.
That doesn't work.
They keep saying 40,000 people. How many people came in from Japan, from Vietnam, through Pakistan, through all these areas where people bounce their travel through, not just Italy?
So, but they were very carefully. I was with Ron DeSantis. He said they literally put the people that came in from China in quarantine.
Yeah, and everybody else who came in through South America and Mexico, who flew into Florida, who had been in contact with people in their own country, they weren't put into quarantine. That's the point.
For a substantial period of time.
No, there was a request.
That was a big decision. I think
nobody was in forced quarantine.
Saved hundreds of thousands of lives by acting very early. And when I did this, I think the Admiral can say it, everybody was against my doing it, everybody.
Why? What psychopaths do you have in your office that were against a travel restriction coming from China after 40 other countries? Who are these nutcases?
Everybody was. The professionals, the doctors.
Yes, name them.
I was...
Because that's all you wanted to do.
Pretty much by myself on that one.
Pretty much.
And
who's pretty much? Okay, pretty much. Pretty much.
It was a lucky thing we did it because we saved hundreds.
Was it luck, or I thought it was massive skill and good genes and your...
Thousands of lives. Yeah, please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. Earlier today, the Vice President urged governors to have all their nursing home residents tested. Why not just mandate that? Why not require that? Have you considered that?
Well, I would certainly
We're thinking about it very strongly.
consider that. I will mandate it if you'd like. I think it's important to do, and I think, frankly,
If you think it's important to do, why didn't you think about it till just now?
some of the governors were very lax with respect to nursing homes. It was obvious right from the beginning. The state of Washington, where
That was where the first cases happened before there was even a name for the disease. You didn't think it was a big deal then.
26 or 28 people died very early on.
Uh-huh.
And I would have said nursing homes, and I did say
For the whole country. So because of what was going on in Kirkland, in King County, in one state, you would have mandated testing nationwide on all senior care facilities. Why didn't you? Why? And if you would have thought that, then why until just now? Just now.
nursing homes. That's what they should. Now, some of the states, many of the states are doing that, but I think all of the states should be. They have the capacity to do it. They should be doing nursing home. That is a real vulnerability.
Then mandate it.
The two staffers that were announced last week as testing positive, are you aware of any
I swear to God, I think they mounted those mics so it looks like people are bowing to him.
additional White House staff?
No, not at all. I'm only aware of people that saw them, were tested, the tests were negative, and they're quarantining anyway. So.
I'm only aware of them, but I don't want to hear about those things. I don't even want to think about the numbers.
Please, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. President. I wanted to ask, are you now or are you considering separating some more with Vice President Pence as a precautionary measure?
Well, first of all, the job he's done on task force, the job he's done, frankly, as the Vice President of the United States has been outstanding. And he's a warrior, too, just like doctors and nurses. I mean, he is working so hard, and he's coming into contact with a lot of people. But
yeah, not wearing masks, insisting they don't wear masks, meeting with industry leaders and saying if you want to meet with the vice president, you can't wear a mask, walking into the Mayo Clinic without a friggin' mask. The Mayo Clinic, you do realize there are other diseases besides this one that you don't want to bring into a hospital.
And he tested negative, so we have to understand that. But he comes into contact
so far
with a lot of people. It's something probably during this quarantine period we'll probably talk about. I have not seen him since then. But
really?
I would say that he and I will be talking about that. Yeah, we can talk on the phone.
Why does this seem to be a surprise? Like, why is the normal affectation of government yeah, I could start doing that. That's a good idea. Why are reporters suggesting moves for him that it seems to be the first time he's ever heard anything like this?
For Admiral Giroir, if I could.
Skedaddle.
The President just said that Dr. Fauci, Dr. Hahn have tested negative. Then why do they need to be isolating? Is there some concern that they could be spreading the virus?
That the test that they've taken is not 100% because everybody's being tested in the White House and a bunch of people have started to come up positive?
In some ways, they're concerned about the testing. Why do they need to isolate?
So this is a very fundamental concept, and I'm so happy you brought that up.
Uh-huh.
Because it underlies a lot of the questions here. If you test negative just at that one point, that just means you've tested negative for that point in time.
We know this. That's our concern with the lack of testing, dummy.
We know that the incubation period for this virus can be many days. So the CDC guidelines really says that if you're in close contact, just testing negative on that one day doesn't mean you won't be positive later on.
Slow down. This is the first time Trump is hearing this.
So the prudent and the recommended thing to do is to self-isolate yourself for the
You're looking at the wrong person. He's to your left.
Entire period of incubation and really then some. So that's what they're.
So 14 days plus. So the vice president needs to be in quarantine for at least 14 days.
It's a precautionary manner because they were negative. We all hope that they remain negative, but if they turned positive in a day or two or became symptomatic, that's still possible even with a negative test.
Whew. Thank you, Doc. You ever serve time?
Okay. Thank you, sir. Go ahead, Phil.
Phil? Oh, God.
Mr.
Mr. President, in one of your Mother's Day tweets, you appear to accuse President Obama of the biggest political crime in American history by...
God, Phil, don't bring it up. It's a campaign thing.
Those were your words. What crime exactly are you accusing President Obama of committing, and do you believe the Justice Department should prosecute him?
Obamagate. It's been going on for a long time. It's been going on from before I even got elected, and it's a disgrace that it happened. And if you look at what's gone on, and if you look
if you look at what's going on, take a look at what's going on and take a look at it, and if you look at what's going on, you take a look and look at it, and
once it was reluctantly aroused, it
we
was
look
now
at it.
all of this information that's being released.
That you guys were in direct contact with the Russians, and Mike Flynn told the truth when he said he lied finally?
And from what I understand, that's only the beginning.
From what you understand. What do you understand?
Terrible things happened, and it should never be allowed to happen in our country again.
I agree. But that's not a statement. That's just all. Those are all. He might as well have just walked out with a bunch of campaign bumper stickers and thrown them on the lawn.
And you'll be seeing what's going on over the coming weeks. But I wish you'd write honestly about it. But unfortunately, you choose not to do so. Yeah, John, please.
Write honestly on what? What is he supposed to write from what came out of your face just now? What's he supposed to go? Let me go home and shit. Does anybody write this down? What did he say? He said,
we're honored to have with us today our amazing Vice President, Mike Pence, and his wonderful wife, Karen.
And then he said,
once it was reluctantly aroused. It was hard to get it aroused, and it is hard to get it aroused, but we got it aroused.
Okay, at least we got, all right, where are my notes?
What is the crime?
Obamagate.
Exactly, that you're accusing him of.
You know what the crime is. The crime is very obvious to everybody. All you have to do is read the newspapers, except yours.
Well, that answers it. I think that's it. Read the newspapers, except yours.
John, please.
Yeah, Mr. President, if I can just...
He's mad at Phil. Look at him sending daggers.
River.
Way to give it to him, Phil.
Get a clarification on...
Stupid asking me what I really... Look, you don't understand. I'm using campaign phraseology. There's no truth there. Don't ask me what the truth is.
On the testing, we've seen clearly that the numbers of tests have gone up. There have been some advancements in testing. But you've said twice here today that every American who wants a test can get a test.
Yes.
That's not the case. 1.9 million tests per day is far short of every American that wants a test to be able to get it.
Well, I'm going to have the Admiral, but I will say just from listening and hearing like you do, we all do, not everybody should get a test because...
We're not talking about everybody who should or shouldn't get a test. We're not, you know who should get a test? Probably everyone in the government every day, but a bunch of them don't, like Rand Paul. They don't want one. You know, he didn't want one. He just wanted to go eat in the Senate cafeteria and cough all over everyone. You know, when Trump says not everybody should get a test, what he means is the people watching over the Supreme Court, specifically Ruth Bader Ginsburg. But that wasn't the question. That was not the question. The question was, shouldn't everybody who wants a test be able to get a test? You've said everybody who wants to get a test should be able to get a test. And now that he's being asked, what is it? How could everyone who wants a test be able to get a test when there are only that many available? And his answer is, not everybody should get a test.
They have to have certain things, and they're going to know when they're not feeling right. Those are the people that will be getting the test. But
no, you don't wait till they're symptomatic. You want to be able to create buffers of contact area.
I'll let you take it from there, please.
So
yeah, cover my ass, will you?
Everybody who needs a test can get a test. We have
that's not true.
Plenty of tests for that.
Well, your definition of needs is somebody already in the hospital?
Right now in America, anybody who needs a test can get a test.
Define needs, because you said wants, now we're at needs. There's a huge gap.
America with the numbers we have. If you are symptomatic with a respiratory illness...
Right, that's it. If you're symptomatic with a respiratory illness...
that is an indication for a test, and you can get a test.
Right, it's already done. All right.
You need to be contact traced, you can get a test. And we hope, and not hope, we are starting to have asymptomatic surveillance, which is very important.
No, we're hoping to start having.
Again, that's over 3 million tests per week. That is sufficient.
No, and then you're still not testing all the workers in food supply places.
for everyone who needs a test, symptomatic, contact tracing, and to our best projections, the asymptomatic kind of surveillance we need to get that. And that's the way it is. And remember, I work at HHS. I work there every day. I don't get tested every day. I get monitored for my symptoms. Am I febrile? Do I have any other?
Yeah, febrile means, do I have a fever? Which is not one of the key symptoms of knowing someone is a carrier for or has COVID-19.
Symptoms. I wear a mask when I go in. That's a safe work environment for the environment we have. If I became symptomatic, I would get a test.
What did you just say to us about how long it takes, how this disease incubates, and whether or not, and the asymptomatic spread? This is ridiculous.
And if it were positive.
And yes, he does get tested every day. He just doesn't get tested over at HHS. He gets tested at the White House.
If I would isolate and there'd be contact tracing to stop that just the way it was done here. If I'm not symptomatic, I do the precautions as everyone has recommended in phase 1, and that's the essence of safely opening America.
And John, the numbers are coming way down, and they're coming down rapidly, and that's a
No, they're not.
beautiful thing to see. And
It's not. You mean the number of tests available in the country are coming down rapidly? Yeah.
Universally, all across the country. They're coming down very rapidly, so very important. Please, go ahead.
No, that's just a lie. We're just going to go with straight up lie. You're just going to lie about the number of cases in the country.
Admiral, if so Americans who are going back to work shouldn't expect and shouldn't want to have the same thing that people coming to work here at the White House have, which is the ability to get tested regularly, regardless of symptoms. Is that what you're saying?
let me clarify as well.
Please do.
People who come into close contact with the president get tested on a regular basis.
You mean like you and everybody there?
Okay, if I were not in close contact with the president specifically.
Yeah, so it's even more elite than we thought. So basically, people at work, if you're going to have a meeting with the CEO of your company or the assistant to the assistant manager, then you would need to get a test. But if you're just working the line, hell with you.
I would not get tested like most people here do not.
Like a food processing plant, you know what I mean? The executives get tested because they are necessary. But if the workers get sick, they just die and make space in the employment chain for somebody new.
Tested. That's a very specific circumstance. When I work at HHS, I go at HHS, I don't get tested. I do the exact.
You're on the task force. How are you not seeing the president every day or every other day?
That we ask Americans to do to monitor your symptoms.
This is a lie.
If you are symptomatic, self-isolate, get tested.
It's an asymptomatic spreading disease. That's the biggest problem with it. You're an idiot.
With one of our community-based testing sites at your hospitals.
This is embarrassing.
There are even at-home testing now that has been authorized. And to cooperate.
Just because it's been authorized doesn't mean it works.
That if you need to be contact traced, be contact traced and cooperate.
Just be contact traced. If you need to be contact traced, then just be contact traced. Just be it. Don't see it.
Cooperate with your local public.
Be it.
But not everybody who walks in here gets tested every time they do. If you're symptomatic, here at HHS, at a meatpacking plant, at a school, you need to get tested.
You mean when it's too late and you've been in contact with people for a week without symptoms?
The meatpacking plants now are doing very well. There's great testing around those plants.
Around them?
And we're finding out who had the problem. They're being quarantined, and the meatpacking is moving along.
Yeah, some of them are being quarantined in cemeteries.
Very nicely, but they were trouble spots. They were hot zones, definitely.
Were?
Please. And
are hot spots.
One thing I think is very important, though, John, just to finish, we have now, and nobody says it, they just don't want to write it.
What? What are they missing? You poor baby.
By far, more tests than any other country in the world, not even.
And still way fewer than we need. We're still behind. Still nowhere near the number we need to function as a country. And why are you comfortable comparing our country to countries with 50 million people in them?
A contest.
Countries the size of California.
And the quality of our test is the best anywhere in the world. That's very important. Then
why do you have to quarantine people who've tested negative in the White House? if you've got the best test, if we have the best tests in the world, then clearly of those tests, of the 79 tests available, the best ones, the cream of the crop, would go straight to the White House to keep our government functioning during a crisis. And during that, everybody in the White House would be getting that #1 super primo good numero uno test. And when they get it, they have to, even if they test negative, they have to go into quarantine because you can't be sure.
What do you say? Please go ahead.
So to make sure I understand the White House.
You don't, by the way. There is no understanding it. It's gibberish.
This position, are you saying that right now you feel there is enough testing, adequate testing across the United States, or do you feel that it needs to be ramped up, and by how much, if so, does it need to be ramped up?
I think we've been clear all along that we believe, and the data indicate, we have enough testing to do the phase 1 gradual reopening that has been supported in the president's plan and the task force plan.
And by we, you mean New York and California on their own, Washington State on their own, went out, got their tests, worked with their own labs, giant states that have started to bend their curve. They're in, all right.
And it has to be a phased reopening. Nobody's saying turn the light switch on and everyone go, because...
Yes, have you seen Trump?
It would be...
He's siding with the guys with guns on courthouse steps.
Really impossible to control the spread of the virus.
You're pointing at the wrong person. Look over that way. That way. He's standing right over there. Tell him.
There are many models out there. The Rockefeller Foundation published their recommendations of about 3 million tests per week. That's exactly what we're doing. If you look at our agent-based models, it's far below that. If you take the Safra Center at Harvard and correct their misassumptions, like on the sensitivity of the test, the mitigation processes, and how many people get hospitalized, you get about that number. Now, I am not going to come here and...
What do you mean, correct them based on what? Your idea of what it should be?
We can absolutely swear it's God's truth that this is the number we need. But we know we have enough to open, and we're going to be very careful with our ILI net, with our surveillance programs, and with the data come in to inform us even further.
Oh, by the way, influenza-like illness is the ILI net that he's talking about. And again, that checks mainly if people are febrile, if they have a fever that's above 102 for 3 days in a row, that kind of thing, and it traces there. This disease is nothing like that.
As we grow and learn, and I think,
as a matter of fact, where you have influenza, unless you're just using that as just rampant contact, that people tend to spread the flu when they spread as like they would spread anything else.
And let me just add a little bit to that, because most days I don't come to the White House to work. I either go to FEMA or I go to HHS, and let me just talk you through what the protocols are there, because I would never get tested if I wasn't coming to the White House.
Really? You're going to FEMA and you're not getting tested?
So every day when we come in,
You're going to 2 giant work organizations, and you're not, who have staff that are going out into the field to the hot spots where this is coming from, and you're not getting tested regularly at FEMA. And
temperature taken, and we get asked questions about if we have symptoms. If you don't, then you enter the workplace, and then there's hand sanitizer all over the place in rooms that are made for conference rooms. They put pieces of paper that say,
like, dude just took a step away from him. Admiral Swaby just stepped away from him. He was like, "You don't get tested? That's not." Oh, good Lord.
Don't sit in essentially every third seat to separate people. And so there's a lot of precautions that we're taking in the federal government that are separate from testing. And those are the precautions that the agencies that Admiral Giroir and I are working at every day are using to let us continue working.
If people want to get tested, they get tested. We have the greatest...
No, they don't. He just said, need. If they need to get tested, and their basis for need is you're symptomatic and you're self-quarantining.
Capacity in the world, not even close. If people want to get tested, they get tested. But for the most part, they shouldn't want to get tested.
For the most part? Okay, let me explain something to you. People who don't believe they've had any contact, don't have any symptoms, are operating around there, it's not going to occur to them as much except for when they see it in the news. But the people who want to get tested are the people who know that they've either been in contact with someone, or they're in an industry where there's a high chance of them coming in contact, or they travel, or they do all kinds of other things, and they think they might have done that. They're the people who want the tests, but don't need the test by their standards. They want the test. We're not talking about the entire country getting tested every day and then testing them again tomorrow. That's not what anyone is saying. That's like saying, let it ride.
There's no reason. They feel good. They don't have sniffles. They don't have sore throats. They don't have any problem.
Sniffles and sore throats are not primary symptoms of COVID-19.
If they do feel there's something happening, they have the absolute easy. In fact, Ron DeSantis of Florida, the governor, is doing a fantastic job in Florida. He said he's got a little bit of the opposite problem. He's got so much testing that people sit around and wait for people to come in, that they have a great overcapacity for testing. And there are numerous other states that have told me the same thing. That's, by the way, a good problem, not a bad problem, okay?
Yeah, that's our problem, too much testing.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
People are making appointments 5 days in advance. The reason they're waiting is because people had to make those appointments.
Said many times that the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Oh man, is this because she's Asian? Is that where this came from? Is that what he's shooting at her? Look, China lady.
Don't ask me. Ask China that question, okay?
No. Why do you keep comparing us to other countries instead of having our own standards?
Them that question, you may get.
Oh, it's totally because she's Asian.
Very unusual answer. Yes, behind you, please.
Yeah, just skipping right past it. Gross.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you. I'm not saying it specifically to anybody.
Uh-huh.
I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
Oh, go for it.
Okay, anybody else? Please.
He's not taking it at all. What a whiny bitch he is.
Go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
But
You're a woman. You don't understand. I just had to talk to the Asian woman lady who asked a nasty question. I'm not going to get another nasty question from a nasty woman. Where's a man from OAN or that girl from OAN that I get? Someone, please.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on
sorry, I just
the young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish,
Okay.
but can I ask you
Ladies
a
and
question,
gentlemen,
please?
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
He's leaving. Whoa! Whoa! Wow. That was what caused it? Like, literally, he walked off because of that question. Oh my God. That's just pitiful. Holy smokes. I gotta say, I'm impressed. I'm impressed with her. Drove him off the stage. One question, like, listen, and he knows he got caught going, Asia lady, why don't you ask China? As if there's a difference between Asian people. Good God. I'm very seldom shocked. I'm very seldom shocked. And I am currently completely surprised by this. I mean, I would have thought, like, did he just run out of men to call on? Was that the problem? I think that's what happened. Like, I can't see the audience, but it looked like he had asked all the men, finally started, answering question from women, and then the second one, or the third one who dare ask him a question, good God. So is he sexist? Yeah. Oh, and I mean that was like a little sexism, racism junction point. I don't know if you recall when he asked a female black reporter who was in the this was a year ago or something, like, do you know the Congressional Black Caucus? Then you set up the number, like that kind of thing. Like, he seems to think. We talk about the division and tribalism in America and how much it's a problem, and Trump literally can't not think in those terms. Oh, look at that. Aw. Whoa. blowing up. That was great. Holy smokes. Thanks, guys. Thanks, Cap the Goat. Like that, and like to walk out, by the way, literally leaves going, you know what? Anybody who wants a test can get a test, after his own people just said, no. There's enough to cover the need, not the want. And the need is only symptomatic people who need to go to the hospital. 262, woo! We've got 262 patrons. Our goal is 500. Please join. Please sign up and stick with us. We've got all kinds of new perks coming to the there. So, and I know the Discord is operating. I'm just not currently in there. I'm in the pros section. There we go. Texicana, thanks for joining the Discord. Yeah, our per capita testing is, of course, ridiculous. Patreons assemble. Hal, replay that part? Okay. Yeah, we can jump back to this little chunk right here. Where is he? Here's her question.
When it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if everyday Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world. And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Beep. Criminy. Look at that. Maybe that's a question you should ask China. No. She was asking you why your standard for the United States is compared to any other country. If we're the best in the world and this is MAGA country and you're going to make the country, you're going to keep America great and have a transition into greatness, or a TTG or a CAG or a MAGA, if that's your standard and no one else, even the world, comes close to what we're doing, then why compare it to the rest of the world as if that's the standard? In the same way, is it Wei Jia? I don't think that, I don't know if it's Wei Jia or not. They didn't identify her. And unlike Trump, I'm not going to jump to the idea that Asian people are indistinguishable from each other. Ta-da! Thank you.
Don't ask me. Ask China that question, okay?
China lady. Go ahead, Chinese. Is it Wei Jia? Okay.
That question.
Because she's amazing.
You may get a very unusual answer. Yes, behind you, please.
You may get a very unusual answer. Yes, the answer from China, if you ask them, why does the United States keep comparing their death toll and their testing rates to the rest of the world, you might get an unusual answer from China like, how the shit should we know? Ask him? It was? Okay.
What, sir?
But why, why'd you ask me that?
Why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty.
Yeah, it's not a nasty question. Christ.
Go ahead.
So gross.
Okay, anybody else? Please, go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr.
Next.
President.
That's another person, isn't it? I can't see the audience, like who's gathered there.
Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on...
Holy smokes. Yeah. You're absolutely right, Can't Stop Lying. This is all about the polls that he's seen recently.
The young lady...
It comes out with like a bunch of props, and it's not working.
Back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish, but can I ask you
Ladies
a question,
and gentlemen,
please?
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Just walked out. Boo friggity who. Oh my God. Yeah, I thought so. I thought there was a different woman asking a question. I heard two voices there. And again, I'm not going to just assume that it is who I think it is just from that, like he would. I'm not going to do it. Everybody's wearing masks. I will check before, yes. And we love Zhang Weijia. She's amazing. It was Caitlin Collins who asked that one? Okay. Screaming for it. Ask China. Why don't you ask China, China lady? Oh my God. Just pitiful. Why don't you ask China? Let's see. Oh, thanks, Mountain Bound. Yeah, that was the article, Can't Stop Lying, where they put up, why couldn't she be more like Donna Reed? So ridiculous. Yes, Trump's a child. I'm going to go through there or whatever, and then let me see if I can. I don't have the Discord running audio through this setup yet because I wasn't trusting it as far as audio loops causing part of the problems that I had, and things are going so smoothly. I'm working on that behind the scenes. That'll be we'll make another run at that Moto. It will be an attempt, but at the very least, people can join us in there to for the text in Discord right now. Yeah, Collins did not back down either. She was going to let her answer the question too. I just find this kind of amazing, just on as an adult. How many of these folks like around him who work with him? How many people, honestly? How many people that work with him daily look at him and go, I can't believe I work for this asshole? And I understand, I'm certain that there are sycophants around him who like him and support him. But I also know that there are a lot of people who are like him as human beings because like attracts like, and they're as egomaniacal and navel-gazy idiot as much of a nasal-gazy idiot as he is. And I'm always curious how many of them go, you're not smarter than me, all the time. I believe that everyone on his staff is constantly going, what a ridiculous human being. I can't believe he's my boss. And we've all had that moment with a boss probably at some point in our lives. I just can't believe that the entire staff doesn't feel that way, because this is absurd. We started a little earlier today. It's now 3:30. How these reporters not snapped by now over 3 years of this BS? Natalie, I think it's because that's their job. They're used to dealing with stuff. I mean, this is being sent down to the White House to cover this guy right now is the equivalent of like you get the raincoat, go stand in the hurricane. Her looked dejected as he slumped over. He looked dejected and slumped over as he turned left. Such a child. Yeah. Praying folks are secretly secreting away bits and pieces of evidence, not out of spite, patriotism, or whatever. I just think, that there's a bunch of, I know that a lot of the military staff, when you see them look at him, if you freeze frame some stuff, you get some honesty in the freeze frames. And I think they, a lot of them are just looking at him going, Jesus Christ, this idiot, all the time. Can we see it again? Sure. I don't mind. Although I think that was the sweet point for all of this. Hold on, where we go. Let's jump back.
When it comes to
taken, and we get asked questions about if we have symptoms. If you don't, then you enter the workplace, and then there's hand sanitizer all over the place. In rooms that are made for conference rooms, they put pieces of paper that say, don't sit in essentially every third seat to separate people. And so there's a lot of precautions that we're taking in the federal government that are separate from testing, and those are the precautions that the agencies that Admiral Giroir and I are working at every day are using to let us continue working.
And you guys are more than likely the group that is bringing the disease to the White House.
If people want to get tested, they get tested. We have the greatest capacity in the world.
He just contradicted what those guys, I mean, that's until Wei Jia asked her question, this is the most embarrassing part of the whole thing. That and, the idea that if you bring out the testing machines that they have in the White House, we'll all feel better.
Not even close. If people want to get tested, they get tested. But for the most part, they shouldn't want to get tested.
Well, you mean like everybody in the White House shouldn't want to get tested?
There's no reason. They feel...
What? You don't want to get tested every day. This is him. This is projecting, by the way. Look at this. Look at this. When he goes, they feel good. They don't have a thing. Like, that's what he has said about how he feels when people ask him questions. I feel fine. It's not a problem.
Good. They don't have sniffles. They don't have sore throats. They don't have any problem.
And by the way, this is not where your throat is located, just in case.
If they do feel there's something happening, they have the absolute easy. In fact, Ron DeSantis of Florida, the governor, is doing a fantastic job.
Why did that happen? Oh.
He said he's got a little bit of the opposite problem. He's got so much testing that people sit around and wait for people to come in, that they have a great overcapacity for testing, and there are numerous other states that have told me the same thing. That's, by the way, a good problem, not a bad problem.
Do they really? Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, please.
Yeah, this is so good.
Said many times that the U.S. is doing far better than any other country when it comes to testing.
Yes.
Why does that matter? Why is this a global competition to you if every day Americans are still losing their lives and we're still seeing more cases every day?
By the way, is she left-handed? She's wearing her watch on her right hand. That should tell us a little bit something about her character. Clearly a sinister character. And I know what you're thinking. How your own sister and your uncle and your son are left-handed. Exactly. And by the way, lovely choice in band and case on her Apple Watch. And she's steadying her mask as opposed to pulling it down like the other folks are doing. I think he's going to rethink putting that mic so close to her all this time. Yeah, but just this is simple, like, are you a disgusting human being question.
Well, they're losing their lives everywhere in the world.
Are you president of the world now? Is that what we're doing? Is that? And so if they lose more people in another country, that means our dead should be happier?
And maybe that's a question you should ask China.
Jesus.
Don't ask me, ask China that question.
Yeah, I didn't see it. Well, I was looking at the chat.
Okay, when you ask them that question, you may get a very unusual answer. Yes,
yeah, their answer will be, why aren't you asking the president of America that?
Find you, please.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty.
It's not. Oh.
Please go ahead.
Why does it matter?
Okay. Anybody else?
Anybody who.
Please go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
But you called on me.
I did, and you didn't respond, and now I'm calling on
Sorry, I just
the young lady.
She was being deferential to Weijia and letting her finish her question. She wasn't going to interrupt her and be part and parcel to you denying her dignity and her existence and her question.
Back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish,
Okay.
but can I ask you a
Ladies and
question,
gentlemen,
please?
thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Leave it to the women to drive this idiot off the podium. And I'm just saying, if this is ladies, if you're listening, and I hope that you are, this is a metaphor for what's going to happen in November. If anybody is going to drive this guy away from this podium, it's going to be the women of this country. You outnumber the men as voters, and I'm calling you up. I'm just saying. But literally, the women drove him from the podium today. I hope this is indicative of the way it goes in the fall.
Very much.
Bye. Oh, pitiful. Vote.org is how you make sure that you are registered to vote and you're capable of voting. Moto, I have the Discord up on the other computer, which doesn't have any audio attached to it right now. So that's why I'm not answering the call. I'm not ignoring you. I'm there. It just isn't, there's no thing to run the audio through. That's what I'm working on. It's on, I moved it to the other computer because I was pulling out everything that created loops and stuff, and then I'm going to pipe audio through other computers because I'm a mad scientist. But yeah, this is insane. By the way, are you enjoying the new look? I've been tailoring the look of the set and the other stuff and trying to clean it up a little bit for you guys, make it a little more adult, a little more worthwhile. I will be adding the chat to this again at some point in the near future. I'll Discord you, Richard Custer. Absolutely. Let's see. We're in general. There you go. There you guys are. Look at you. Yeah. So I'm going to sign off and continue to build on this and try to add the features back in one at a time until it looks like a torture chamber. Thanks very much. I appreciate that, Diane. That's lovely. I may have a different background, but it's really about the functionality about this whole thing. So, you know, I'm working on all of it. Let's see. Trump meltdown is trending. Well, seriously, yeah. I mean, he just walked off like a man. Walk like a man, stalk like a man, fart like a man, you dummy. I can't. And by the way, let me show you something. Just stay classy, White House. Way to be on it. This is 23 minutes in. This screen stays up for another 20 minutes on their live channel. Like this was scheduled, understand this, this was scheduled to go on for another 20 minutes. That, I mean, a little detail, but check that out. Check out, so this is, they run this, they throw this screen up. If you look right here on this thing, it says 20 minutes and 47 seconds left. Nothing but graphic all the way to the end. No audio, no nothing. He was going to be out. They had this scheduled to go on for another 20 minutes, and he walked. No, the sound is not still on. Although it might have been on one of the other source channels. For whatever reason, and I don't know if it's, you know, a factor of, you know, them allowing the press to do it or any of that stuff. But, you know, I'm pretty sure, I mean, like Time Magazine and some of the other ones that do that. Let's see, who's doing, that's the White House one. See if there's if sometimes they'll throw it up there like, no, I'm the only thing live right now from there. Okay, there's the USA Today thing. All right, so, oh God, this is a whole new angle. Hold on one second. This is a whole new angle. There you go. America leads the world in testing, and then in testing. I'm surprised. I'm really actually shocked that the word leads wasn't gigantic in that. But wait, are they putting tweets up under this? What is this? What is happening? Yeah, they are. Look at that. USA Today. Democrats have said they want to move quickly on what they've called the second installment to this. So they're throwing up what USA Today's board is like tweeting during this, this part of it. So maybe there's a. See if he walks out on this one.
Sir, why are you saying that to me specifically?
I'm telling you, I'm not saying it specifically to anybody. I'm saying it to anybody that would ask a nasty question like that.
That's not a nasty question.
Please go ahead.
Why does it matter?
Okay.
Why does it matter?
Else? Please, go ahead in the back, please.
I have two questions.
No, it's okay.
But you pointed to me. I have two questions, Mr. President.
Next, please.
But you called
These nasty women.
me.
I did, and you didn't respond.
It's like he accidentally walked out in the middle of the Women's March because he took the wrong door at the White House.
And now I'm calling on
Sorry, I just
the young lady in the back, please.
I just wanted to let my colleague finish,
Okay.
but can I ask you
Ladies
a
and
question,
gentlemen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Thank you very much.
This is getting uncomfortable. Look at everybody like, does he leave? Is he leaving? Do we leave? Wait, do we follow him in? Look at John Roberts. That was weird. I don't know. Get my stuff from my chair and not touch anybody. Why are you still standing? Why are they staying standing until the other staff leaves? That's super weird. Hold on. Is that the press line, guys? Wait, 1 second.
Find you, please.
Is there I'm curious about this, and maybe somebody knows right here. So we'll play it from here. I want to see something. There's a rope, and John seems to have walked right in that area, so there's no rope. So is it staff in front of the line and press behind? See what I'm saying? Like that's the precaution they're taking. There it is. There it is. That's the sum total of the White House's coronavirus task force security measures for staff to be protected from the coronavirus. A rope separating staff from reporters. That's it. That's it right there. The most high-tech. Look at that. So yeah, so John Roberts was behind that. He just walked out. So this is all staff. So they remain standing until everybody's gone because they work in the White House, I guess. And then the reporters are behind that. They didn't get up. They just left. Like, I'm leaving. Holy smokes. Just pathetic. This is the standard, folks. This is it. That's it. That's all they got. Holy smokes. No, that's it. By the way, I have steadied my vitamin D levels, and I am now only at the taking one 5,000 IU tablet a day. So there you go. So that's my current dosage. For anybody who was wondering, people were asking about that before, but now you know. This is like, yeah, I honestly don't know how they process working with him. Wait, does Fox have a full audio on it? Oh, look at this. Look at this. This is Fox's version of things. There they are. There's John showing up. This is Fox's angle on it. They get to start rolling footage earlier than anybody else. Those guys came out, fixed the flags, and then how long are they sitting out there? He's gaggling. They're all hanging out. 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. Oh, they bring out the tables before that? Yeah, hold on. Wait, what are you looking at? All right, hold on. Keeps them sitting out there for 15 minutes. Oh, wait, here we go. So this is, where are they? I didn't even hear Mike on that. Did they not have his mic up? Yeah, they didn't have the mic up for the audio for the announcement part either. Because even Fox knows that this is embarrassing.
$50,000.
Yeah, see, they kept his mic off.
Capacity unmatched.
They kept the audio off up until he was, he had said his hellos. Wow. I got a vitamin D overdose last weekend. Fell asleep for 4 hours in 22-degree heat, forehead and peeling. Good. Oh, I see.
Anywhere in the world.
Yeah. Didn't work out the way you thought it was going to do today, did it? Oh, that's fun. That's a good time. Wow. Hi, Australia. Hi, Louise. How's everybody doing, by the way? How you feeling? How's quarantine treating you? Before we sign off, I want to check in with everybody and make sure you're doing well. And by the way, send Wei Jiajiang some love, or Jiang Weijia. Send her some love on Twitter today, and a big salute from all of us over here. Because, good Lord, check Twitter. What? Check your Twitter, bruh. Audio and new angle. Whoa. Good times. I don't know what that means. Is that right? Yeah. I'm glad it's not from that. Doing good. Want to take a serological. Me too. I want to take it as well. I think Dwight's still here. Hey, Dwight. Thanks for joining us for the Streamlabs and astronaut chit chat yesterday. I appreciate that. Horror Beauty FX says doing okay, a little stressed, but who isn't right now? That helps. Hope you're doing well. I am. I'm holding it together. Thank you, John Honey. You're good. Pod Save America has the angle from the reporters. Nice. It's shit. Good health to everybody. Absolutely. Thank you, Andy Engel. Thanks everybody in the Periscope crowd. What's written on the seat? Oh. Unsweet. Why is that moved over out of the way? I don't know. It's curious. It's off in position. There you go. Put it over there. Thank you guys for the super chats and the sparkle coins and all that stuff. That was wonderful. How more Carl. I agree. We're going to do this. I think the next one we want to plan to do is after the launch on the 27th. Bought a new load of pencils. Been doodling. Doodling's a good time. Gene Simmons has been doodling. Yes, as an unsweet tea. It's from the unsweet T-shirt. Need to get tested since LA is offering. Yeah. Summer and I are supposed to do it this week, so I'll let you guys know. Yes, time to tweet what a pussy Trump is for running off like a child because he couldn't handle legitimate questions. I mean, Jiang Weijia is her name. Yeah, 252. Woo-hoo. Yeah, thanks for joining us today. There's 252 of you. Give us a thumbs up, like and subscribe, all that fun stuff. It always helps. Spread the love around the show. Let them know. And if you're watching on Periscope or Twitch, feel free to jump over to YouTube and sign up over there. It helps us out. Let's see. How listened to you with the NASA guy yesterday? Why my birthday is 5561. NASA lit a big candle for it. That's awesome. Dwight is definitely up for a Skylab broadcast with all three of us. I love that idea. 263. Woo! And caffeine withdrawal headaches can last for days. This is true. There's a bunch of folks jumping in. Thanks. Balayage Paul. I'm not even going to pretend to know how to pronounce that. That's fun. Don't let anyone dull your sparkle, Marilyn Monroe. Thank you, Benny Loco. And thanks for the thumbs up. Spectacular. I'm literally getting blasted with the alert sound, even though I turned it off in the software so it doesn't blast you guys. It's coming through my headphones as the loudest thing ever. It's hilarious. And if I turn it down, I have to turn everything else down. That's hilarious. So luckily, my one audio or video issue today really only affected me and nearly gave me a brain aneurysm. This is the only way we can stay in the news. Hal, thank you. Absolutely, my pleasure. That's why I'm here. Please, everybody, if you can at all, maintain your mitigation. If you have to get out and do some work and you need to, you're in a semi-necessary industry, or things are starting to get back to work, or you're being called back into work, and you have to go, take those extra steps and those extra precautions. Think about, leaving your shoes outside the house, spraying them with Lysol, that kind of stuff. Go stock up on hand sanitizer. Have some in your car with you at all times. You can have the little kind that hang on your belt if you want. Make sure you're washing your hands regularly and try not to touch your face. And if you're going to be in group gatherings, consider wearing a mask until your office or wherever you are can do mitigating factors to make sure that you don't need to with the people who are there, or they have testing available for their staff or whatnot. There's no shame in it whatsoever. And if anybody gives you crap and you're worried about just yelling at them, make up a story about a sick aunt. I would recommend that. If they're not going to live the truth, you don't have to tell the truth, I think it was Brian Kinney who said, it's not a lie if they make you lie. And the key will be, make up a story about how, well, we've got somebody who's immunocompromised, my aunt, and we see her all the time, so I've got to take extra precautions. I hope you guys understand. And that will shut them up. I think that's the wisest thing. And both my parents are getting surgery next week, and they have to get tested for it then. So we'll see if they've got the serological test for them available or not. Fingers crossed they've had a minor version of it and went through it. I think there's a chance my mother did. I don't know about my dad. So, yeah, an outsider looking on the U.S., your scopes give us unique insight into American politics. Well, Noel, American politics is unique in and of itself, in that it is I've often said diversity is the root of our strength, not the fruit of our strength. And right now we have a bunch of people trying to act all across the political spectrum as if it's the fruit of our strength, as if everybody gets to go up and pull the fruit and run off to their tribe again, instead of we all come together from different cultures, backgrounds, races, religions, and we come up with the most common beneficial system for everybody. Everything else outside that is your own affair and doesn't affect anybody else. And within that, the trunk of that tree, we grow democracy through that. And then the fruit that's bared from it, everybody benefits from equally. It's not just running off into your own corner. So, but there's been a trend, and it comes and goes, towards tribalism based on fear, or and again, the American public and the world has been through so many traumas in the last 30 years that are, kind of invisible traumas in those regards, like the AIDS crisis, 9/11, these things that aren't directly affecting you, that you don't have an impact on, that are kind of out of your control, that after a while they start to stack up, and people have this, they have this almost Darwinistic protective feeling towards themselves, where they, the whole world's going to hell, better to get yours and hide. And this is no different. I think there's a lot of that. So we've got to be very careful going forward with this. Don't let anybody bully you into not acting for your own safety right now. And we're going to see a spike of new cases. We will see how we're able to respond to it. The things we know about ventilators and the things we know about remdesivir and some of the other treatments that are available, and the cytokine storms and all those kind of things, may affect how many people die in the next wave more so than the infection rate. Fingers crossed they do help, but there's no guarantee that it does. And right now we have no idea how many people are infected in the United States. We just don't. Yeah, Ogmuse says, I'm one of those with the immune system disease. Now I cannot get a test as I am not symptomatic. Yeah, the people around you probably have can qualify as saying, well, I work with someone who's immune compromised, so I need to get tested. I would say send them first, and then argue that you need to get a serology test. I'm reading this. Yeah, summer's going to be rough. Where I work now require customers to wear masks also. That's good. Too bad you don't live in Los Angeles. Ogmuse, you get tested for free, no symptoms required. Yeah. Those silly blue states taking care of people. It's just weird. Sending only tons of good thoughts for you and your family this week. Thank you so much, Living in the Leap. Appreciate it. And thanks you guys for supporting the show and being with us and gathering around. I started a little early today, but largely because I wanted to take this thing as live as they went. And I thought there was going to be an extra 20 minutes of it from the schedule. But he had to storm off. Poor baby.
And it's not even close.
So, anyways, I adore you guys. I'll be, I know I keep saying this, but I will be gaming later and testing the setup again. And I will have the Discord audio on then, I think, if I can get it wired right. So there. And yeah, and thanks for bringing that up, Michael. A couple people mentioned that as well. Jerry Stiller died today, Ben Stiller's father. And Jerry Stiller, I guess most people know him from Seinfeld, largely, as Costanza's dad. But the history, please do yourself a favor and do a deep dive. Go to IMDb or do a Google search on Jerry Stiller and look at the amount of work that man did. And here's what I would say about Jerry Stiller is there are a lot of funny people in the world. There are a lot of, especially from that classic era, who are just brutally funny people. And Jerry Stiller was kind of like Dom DeLuise for me in that whenever he was on screen or on stage, he was magnetic. Yeah, Stiller and Mira. Yeah. Everybody's trying to spell it. Yeah, Stiller and Mira. Yes. He and his wife as a comedy team. But whenever he was on camera, you just could not take your eyes off him. He was so funny. No, he was not in Caddyshack. I don't know if he was in Caddyshack 2. I haven't seen that one in a long time, and I found it utterly forgettable. But no. But just do yourself a favor. Dive into that. YouTube, there's an abundance of stuff on there. But then also, feel free to, you know, tweet your condolences to Ben Stiller and his family or whatever. Just a sweet, funny, magnetic performer, and he died of natural causes. I don't think it was COVID related. It was just simply him being old. Yes, he was on King of Queens. A lot of people know him from that as well. It's just hard to track some people's like comedic ingenuity and their dynamism, and Stiller was one of those people. So, anyways, yes, and Betty Wright as well, not Betty White. People got them confused. That was an interesting tweet thing. She was only 66, I think, right? Richard Custer just passed away this week. So one of the things that people do when someone passes is that they tend to go look at their work and see what they missed. And I highly recommend that actually for both. That just needed to be said. So anyways, you guys are spectacular and lovely and wonderful, and I look forward to seeing you guys every day. I will see you tomorrow. I don't doubt that there will be some sort of similar gaggle, because he'll be so mad about this. I'm surprised, like, his Obamagate answer was pretty pathetic. It was pretty light and just bumper stickery. And then to get driven off the stage by the question of, like, why do you compare the United States to anybody else if we're supposed to be great? Yes, there would be no Festivus if it was not for Jerry Stiller. It's true. So, because if any other actor had done it, it would have been a cute scene. So, so go send some love to Ben Stiller and send some love to Zhang Weijia. And enjoy. Yes, we'll all have a big Festivus stream this year for his benefit. Yes, Festivus for the rest of us. Yes, and you can follow Carl Alessi on Twitter. Just run his name all together, and he's that famous. Yeah, he was 92. He'd been around for a long time. Thank you, Amy K. Appreciate it. You guys are awesome. I'm going to sign off now. I will see you guys later on. Take care of yourselves and take care of somebody else. We're going to continue to make this fun. We are going to continue to make this fun. Cheers. Bye.